Hello, Miss Lady.
And we are live. Greetings, everybody. It is Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you so much for joining us, as we always do. Before we get started, let me adjust this camera a little bit. There we go. Bam, bam, bam. As we always do before we get started, guys, make sure you hit that like button. Again, make sure you hit that like button as you come to the chat room. Also, make sure you share and subscribe to the content. Again, make sure you share and subscribe to the content. Patreon, become a monthly Patreon. Again, become a monthly Patreon. Everybody become a monthly Patreon. Please support, put your money where your mouth is so we can continue to grow this platform. Everybody also get your Africa is the Future shirt. Go to dynastymirror.com and grab your Africa is the Future shirt. Excuse me, everyone. Tour April 21st to the 30th. April 21st to the 30th, we are going to Sierra Leone. Come and join us in Sierra Leone. We are going to have an awesome time, everybody. April 21st through the 30th, Sierra Leone. We are going to have an awesome time. What else do we have on the roll call? Make sure you get your books. Go to dynastymirror.com. Get your books. Get your merchandise. Go and support again. Go and grab your books at dynastymirror.com. Like, share, and subscribe so we continue to grow the platform and expand the platform as well. Without further ado, we have a special guest on with us today, everybody. Brother Brandon from Pan-Africanism strikes back again. Brother Brandon with Pan-Africanism strikes back. And today's topic is, guys, I know. So I've been doing my own internal poll when it comes to Black people who are voting for Donald Trump. And I know a number of Black people who are voting for Donald Trump who either A, last election, voted for Hillary Clinton, or B, didn't vote at all. I know, again, a lot of Black people who are voting for Donald Trump. And there was, is it Rasputin or Rasmussen, something like that.
Rasmussen.
Yeah, okay, yeah, whatever, okay. They did a poll. And guys, I'm not a big fan of polls at all. But they did a poll saying that about, what was the numbers, Brandon?
They were saying that it's just in different states. But they were pretty much saying that Donald Trump, he's ahead.
No. I'm sorry. As far as the number of Black people who are voting for Trump, there was like a specific poll.
I know that they said something like 30% of the people who basically voting, the Black vote for the Democrats this year is 30% lower than what it was last year. That's a poll that I read. 30% less Black people are voting for the Democratic Party. And they're not necessarily saying that those people are going to vote for Republicans, but we've showed up at a rate of 30% less than we showed up last election.
No, but I think they were saying that about 30 or 40% of Black males are going to vote, or saying they're voting for Trump, or they'll get.
I remember reading something like that. But I could just look it up.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to speak on it without knowing the exact facts. But I know that they talked about how we've showed up in significantly less numbers than we showed up last year. And even right now in Florida, the Democratic Party, they thought they had an opportunity in Florida, but right here, Black men are voting for Trump because of chauvinism.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
But these are the type of.
Then you got Maxine Waters has crawled out of her hole, her basement. She's completely disappeared after she lost the struggle impeachment, as I call it, in regards to Donald Trump and the Russian collusion. She completely disappeared and went back into her cave or a hole. Now she's back out saying that if the Black people who vote for Trump, she'll never forgive them. See how cutthroat they are with their own people, but they want to forgive Joe Biden.
Well, Maxine, if she's never gonna forgive, if she's never gonna forgive black people who vote for Donald Trump, well, do she want people to forgive her for the way she's taken advantage of the black community for decades? I mean, all you need to do is go to Maxine Waters' district, and you can easily see that she really hasn't done anything in that district in 30 plus years. So, do we forgive her? See, that's what I'm saying. These politicians, these black politicians, they're downright disrespectful. If you really want to know, they're very disrespectful towards black people because they're like, look, we did nothing for you, but we're also going to stand in the way of you voting for people who will actually do something for you. Donald Trump has done far more for the black community than Maxine Waters ever has. And that's an honest to goodness statement. In numbers can prove it. While she's buying mansions, her community, her district is going to crap.
All right. Absolutely. So today's topic are black people finally flexing against the Democratic Party. I know, again, Brandon, just talking to brothers and sisters, this election versus last, the amount of black people who are like, look, I'm voting for Trump. But then I asked them, did you vote last election? They said they either voted for Hillary Clinton or they didn't vote at all.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of black people didn't even like Hillary Clinton, and they blamed Hillary Clinton for what Joe Biden had done. A lot of people don't like Hillary because of Bill Clinton's participation in the '94 crime bill, right? But now some of those same people who didn't vote for Hillary are now voting for Joe Biden, who was the person who offered that crime bill. So much of what's going on in our community is just a lot of revisionist history, misinformation, and short-term, long-term memory loss. People who or that black forgiveness thing. Somebody told me that they don't think Joe Biden is as racist as he was before. My question to them is, how the hell do you know? What inside information do you have where you've been a fly on the wall and Joe Biden has confided to his people and said, I really feel bad about what I did to the black community? You don't have any. So what you're doing is you're just making crap up based on what you want to be true. And the problem with this, and there's this famous line in the movie that goes, it's not about what you believe, it's about what you can prove. And I cannot, I'll give you a prime example, Diners. Look, I literally am in California, so I'm getting bombarded with these people messaging my phone talking about we need to start calling to swing states and helping people and convincing people of color to vote for Joe Biden, right? So this is how you know the Democrats are in trouble. But this guy said, he hit me up, he said, hi, Brandon. This is Daniel volunteering with California Democrats. This is today at 2:48. Calling swing states is the best way to make an impact on the final day in these final days. Joe and Harris are our only hope. I put Trump 2020. He said Trump is against people of color. I said, no, that's Biden. His record shows it. He said, we need to save our nation. I told him a simple thing. This is just right now before I talk to you. I said, provide me with proof of Trump passing legislation that imprisoned African Americans by the millions, and I will vote for Biden. I said, we are just fodder for this nation, and it is because of people like Creepy Joe. Sorry, I'm not a fearful, scared, ignorant minority. I'm a black man who reads and does research. He said, you are letting your people down. Look, I said, are you a person of color? Question mark. No, I'm a white man. Listen. I'm a white man with a spouse of color. I said, no one is voting for a man showing signs of early onset dementia. You don't know anything about people of color, period. If you love your wife, you will vote for Trump. He said, Joe is healthy and strong. I said, Joe is struggling. Do you hear yourself? I can't with liberals, ignoring reality to serve their overlords. Joe can't even put a sentence together. Should have stuck with Bernie or Tulsi. This guy said, America loves Joe Biden. Please support Joe and Kamala Harris. I said, laughing my butt off. You think a 47-year politician is your best hope? I pity you. He said, no, you're wrong. I said, okay, I'm wrong. You're right. Trump 2020. Black folks don't understand. We have been forgotten. The Democratic Party has left black people behind. Black people no longer matter. Now you are just a person of color. They don't even see you anymore. You are just, like my daughter says, you're a water molecule in a waterfall. You just now you go, if someone could with their naked eye could spot a water molecule in a waterfall, that would mean that they have incredible vision, because you can't. And that's what you are. You're just being blended into the background. No one cares about you anymore. No one's going to do anything for you. And you're still like, yo, let's go support these people. And I see people say, I voted for Biden, right? And here's the thing. This is the one question I want all black people.
And let me interject real quick. I want to jump to the Central Park 5 argument. I mean, dude, listen, everybody involved in the railroading of those kids were Democrat, number one. Number two, Donald Trump did not force the parent, which pretty much messed up everybody, to confess to a crime that they didn't commit. Donald Trump didn't force that.
Look at right here. Aslam Mahdi said, News Now, Pan Africa. One of the Central Park Five's father told his son to take the plea, but you mad at Trump. Trump signed the prison reform, and I guess that means nothing till he used the N-word. And that's what I'm saying. How do you expect Trump to feel to a group of people who basically pled guilty to doing a heinous crime against a white person?
Yeah, because when that one person pled guilty or confessed to the crime, that pretty much implicated everybody.
Exactly. So Trump reacted based on the information that was provided to him at the time. And I'm not here to defend Donald Trump. What I'm here to say is Donald Trump was a private citizen doing things based on misinformation. We as black people are private citizens doing a lot based on misinformation, and we actually rebel against the facts if it doesn't fit our narrative. What I know, this is what I know for a fact. And if you can argue with this, get on here and prove me wrong. Joe Biden got on stage. He said within the first 100 days, let's stop there. Within his first 100 days of being elected, this is what he was going to do. This was his number one priority. Did he say within the first 100 days, I'm going to reverse all that legislation I did to destroy the black community? No. Within the first 100 days, I'm going to help black women and children. I'm going to absolve female black women's student loan debt. No. He said within the first 100 days, I'm going to grant over 11 million immigrants citizenship in the United States of America. Priorities. Now you find me what Biden has said he's going to do for you within the first 100 days. See, because when you say the first 100 days, that means you're going to get in there and you're going to get right on it. That's the first thing on your agenda. Everything else is I may get to it or I may not get to it, right? Where do you come in on the part where he guarantees that he's going to do something? You don't. But you know what Donald Trump said? Donald Trump said, well, if you vote for me, I'm going to give black folks $500 billion. It only a fool would go against that. So you got two sides and two options, black people. You vote for one guy who's going to grant your competition citizenship to make them even more competitive against you. The other guy is like, yo, I'm gonna give you $500 billion. And everyone says this, all the the Negro stalling tactics. Oh, how do you know Trump's gonna give it to you? Well, I'll tell you this. If Donald Trump doesn't deliver you the $500 billion, black people will never vote Republican again for the next 300 years. So he's put himself in a place where he's forced to give you that. He's forced to give you that because he's made a promise that he has to keep. Because if he doesn't, we will go on to vote Democrat and say, well, the one time we gave Donald Trump a chance or Republicans a chance, they didn't do it. So you better believe the moment you vote for Donald Trump, as soon as he gets elected, the entire Republican establishment going to come together and say, now, you didn't talk us into this. Now we got to give these Negroes $500 billion. Now we got to figure out how we can do that, which they still won't give us $500 billion, not because they don't want to, but because most of us won't take the steps necessary to become eligible to receive that money by starting businesses, etc. But it's on the table. It's been promised. It's been promised publicly. Now, name one promise that Joe Biden has made to black folks. One guarantee publicly. Nothing. Nothing at all. But people are talking about, I voted for Joe. No, you voted for your own limitations because somewhere along the line, you've convinced yourself that black people deserve to be on the bottom in America. So there's two parties. One group who believes black people have gotten a bad stick or a bad hand, and we deserve better, and we're going to move forward. That's the conservative black side. The other side is the black people who have accepted their station in America at the bottom and truly believe that we don't deserve anything better than the residue of the scraps of the Democratic Party. Because we can't even say scraps because you can actually eat scraps. We're literally licking the floor because they ain't giving us nothing. And they've already jumped over you, and they're on to giving immigrants citizenship and everything like that. Joe Biden doesn't even care about you. And the thing I love is that our people are finally beginning to wake up, and they're finally rebelling and flexing their muscle on the Republican Party. They're finally flexing their muscle on the Republican Party, period. And I mean, on the Democratic Party. And that's what we need to do. And even if we don't vote, that still makes a statement.
Hey, Jamal Omar. In fact, Jamal, email me Uhuru at searchforuhuru.com because you're in one of the swing states. Let's let me know what's going on the ground in these swing states. So Jamal Omar, do me a favor, send me an email, Uhuru at searchforuhuru.com, Uhuru at searchforuhuru.com. Send me an email because I like to know what's going on in the swing states. Also, too, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Again, guys, please hit that like button. Again, hit that like button. We're also tomorrow we're doing an election marathon starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll go until I ain't gonna be up all night, but until it's called. Brandon, you think they're gonna call the election tomorrow, or like, what do you think they're gonna?
No, the Democrats are trying to stall the mainstream media. I think the results will be out, but the mainstream media will not announce it because be mindful. We learn who won the election through the news. They tell us, oh, this person's the projected winner. So they'll just stall until they can't anymore. So that might be days, But Donald Trump, I believe, is going to surprise everybody because I don't truly believe even the mainstream media realizes how much support this guy really has. Like, I haven't met a person in California yet who said they're voting for Joe Biden. Yeah. And when it was Hillary last year, and I forgot who her running mate was going to be. Dang, she got beat that bad. I don't even remember who her vice president was going to be. But
who was it going to be? I forgot. He completely disappeared. Yeah,
who is he, right? Yeah, but I bet you people in here voted for him don't even know who it is. But the thing,
hold on. So people in swing states, so like people in Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Ohio, and North Carolina, and Nevada, and Arizona. If you're located in one of these states, email me. Call in. Let's get an idea of what's going on the ground.
What everybody has to understand is this is the black media. This is where our people are going to get accurate information.
Texas and Florida. Texas and Florida, they're going red. I already spoke to people over there. I'll be shocked if we lose Texas or Florida. If Texas or Florida is gone, I'll be shocked. But swing states.
Delgado Jones Abel, why don't you call in and tell everybody how I'm going to lead them down a path of destruction? This is what I don't like about when people talk about politics. Stop looking at stuff like, oh, if this person gets elected, it's the end of the world. Do you realize that there's a system called checks and balances? 9 times out of 10, Joe Biden is not going to be able to pass any legislation through the House or the Senate because there are a lot of conservative Democrats who are not going for that socialist crap. So what do you mean the end of the world? This, Brother Brandon, will lead you down a road of self-destruction, is woefully ignorant of the political process and the powers of governmental levers. But I'm not. I'm telling you, see, this is our issue. If you go against them good old Democrats, all of a sudden you're the Antichrist. What God appointed the Democrats over you? None. You just went in. They talked to you real good on one side, and now they've been kicking you in the butt on the other side for 60 years, and you just too mentally obligated to them to go against them.
Guys, email me. Okay, people keep asking, what's the call-in number? Again, email me Uhuru at searchforuhuru.com. Email is in the chat room. Send me an email and I will send you the link. All right, go ahead, Brandon.
Right. So the thing is, Look, black people, right? This is what I want to tell you. You know, people say, "Oh, Brandon's on the payroll of white supremacy." No, I'm doing more.
Oh, they told me, Adonis, who paying you, Adonis? Who paying you, Adonis? Who paying you?
I'm doing more. I'm doing more in Africa for black people and in America for black folks than you'll ever do. So that's wrong. But this is the thing. All the people who claim that I'm lying come on this channel because Professor Black Truth and the Black Authority has done this every weekend for the past 7 months. He's allowed people to go on his page, call in, and tell why they're voting for Joe Biden. As much as I've listened to that show, I have not heard one person who's able to identify one policy that would justify them voting for Joe Biden. You know, I wanna share something, Dinus, that I wrote earlier, and I don't even know, but I could pull it up right now, and I want people to listen to this closely because I know we got some very intelligent people in this group, but what I wrote right here, okay.
God, I'm sorry. Let me calm down.
You're getting pumped up. You're getting pumped up.
Delgado, my email is in the chat room.
Let me get in here. Let me get in here.
I'm sorry. Let me remain. Let me, Fitzgerald, my brother Fitzgerald speaking. Shout out to Fitzgerald. He said, Dynasty, man, you need to calm down. I mean, because when people ask the same 5 questions and I keep putting the answer in the chat room, okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
But look, so this is what I post. I'm gonna post this later on Instagram. I put African American. Listen to this. I want all our people to do one thing: close your mouth, open your brain, open your ears. Listen to this. African American people started a movement for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery to stop black murder. 10 months later, African American people are now voting for a Caucasian male who's been in office for 47 years, right? 2, who's promising to give 1, illegal immigrant citizenship. 2, advise people to practice social distancing during COVID-19. 3, give a child the right to choose their gender. 4, global warming. I have looked at the Biden campaign extensively. These are the 4 things that I can see that they're offering for sure. Now I ask a question. How do we benefit from that? And what did we fix? The only person who benefits from all this black death is a white man named Joe Biden, who's already been benefiting from kicking us in our bellies. Now we've started a movement, and we've allowed that movement to be hijacked, as all the movements are. When you started your movements in the 60s, they were hijacked. They were hijacked by feminists, white feminists, other races. You know what I'm saying? Now you start your movement in the 90s, it gets hijacked by LGBTQ. Now you started another movement, and it's been hijacked again by illegal immigrants, environmental activists, and people who are promote pedophilia with with children. They've hijacked your movement. How long are we going to continue trying to start movements and allowing them to be hijacked by Democrats? Because every one of those groups is a liberal group. So I want you guys to get on and tell me. I'm going off of what's the proof in the facts. You going off about what you feel the way things should be. But what's going on? Go ahead, Mr. Firebrain.
Yeah, Firebrain, Mr. Firebrain. What's up, brother?
Yeah. How y'all doing? Yeah, it's funny you should say that because 2 weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I saw Saturday Night Live and the comedian was on there, he was on point, man. And people, white women specifically was upset with him, but he was on point. They co-opted our movements, Look, down here in Texas, I don't know if you saw the news yet of that caravan that
I saw that.
Yeah. Down here, they really getting busy. They're saying that it's a swing state, but I don't know. I don't know if it is, but I guess we'll see tomorrow.
Listen,
I'm not voting for Trump or Biden. I'm not voting for neither one of them. I don't think either one of them mean us any good. And I'm tired of voting for the lesser of two evils.
Right.
Yeah, me, and that's what I'm saying. If you have no personal interest in voting for Trump, I'm not telling you to vote for him. I'm voting for Donald Trump because, I have several family members who are in prison, who've been in prison for a long time because I live in California. And, we have the 3 strikes law where you do a crime and it could be stealing a damn ham sandwich. And all of a sudden you got 25 years to life. And I got several people I know who are in jail because of that crap. Passed by who? Written by who? Joe Biden. And now these people have the opportunity to get out of jail. One of them is my dad. He's gonna be released next year in August, but he got to do some different classes and stuff because he be in jail getting in trouble and whatnot. But here's the thing: this guy was gonna spend the rest of his life in prison for being in a stolen car and possession of a controlled substance. My dad was a guy who was using drugs. He was a gang member, but he was addicted to drugs. But that guy deserves to spend the rest of his life in prison because he has a drug problem. When white people today have a drug problem and all they get is probation, and they're stealing and they're fighting and they're doing all sorts of crimes, but all they get is probation. And now Joe Biden is like, oh yeah, we need to get everybody out of jail. All this stuff. I'm not doing that, Joe. What I'm gonna do, Joe, is I'm gonna vote for the guy who opened his ears, listened to black people tell him what their problems were, and then pass legislation to fix that. And I hope you guys come on so you can tell me how Donald Trump getting black people out of jail, passing law, meaning it's a law to release black people out of jail, and then guaranteeing that he's going to pass another law to further that prison reform process. You tell me how that alone is not enough to secure his vote from you over Joe Biden, the person who put you in prison. So one of them put you in prison by the millions, and one of them is signing legislation has already signed legislation to get you out by the thousands, and it's going to sign legislation to get you out by the millions. So you tell me, our people in jail's lives are not valuable enough for you to go against the Mexicans getting citizenship, or the 8-year-olds getting to choose what gender they are, or the environment not getting polluted. See, then when you see how these people vote, you will see that the people condemning me, these are the people who are truly anti-black, anti-African, because they would rather put their loyalty to a bunch of white folks over the freedom of their own kind. We know where you would have been. You would have been right up in that big house, snitching every time we was ready to revolt or run away, because that's what you're doing right now.
Go ahead, Gerald.
All right. What's going on, guys? So just in Arizona, I'll say it's pretty crazy over here. It's kind of 50-50. I live in like a suburban kind of area, and I see like one neighbor. I mean, you'll see it all over if you're in Phoenix. You'll see one neighbor with a Biden, Biden signs, and then another person with Trump signs, and they'll be neighbors. And it happens anywhere, anytime I walk around my community, all over this community. It does look like Trump probably has the advantage here. I see a lot of, but people are very, very passionate here. I mean, people have a lot of crazy signs all over their house. I mean, the Biden support are definitely crazy. They've got this one guy's house has a huge list, every negative thing that Trump has done or everything he said. So it's pretty crazy over here. But I would say it's almost dead even, with maybe a little bit favor for Trump in Arizona, for at least from where I'm at.
Really? Okay. What see, I know a lot of people like these polls. Let's talk about these polls. I know people who, when the polls call them, they'll lie and say they're voting for Biden, but in reality they're voting for Trump. They just do it just because. Yeah, have you heard of that at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's probably going to be the biggest factor, because a lot of people say they're voting for Biden. I think a lot of black people are afraid to say they're voting for Trump. So I think the number of black people that end up voting for Trump is going to be way bigger than they're actually thinking it is. And I think last election it was 8%. This election it could be as high as 25-30%. But a lot of people are just saying that they're going to vote for Biden and probably aren't.
Guys, hit that like button. We have 300 people watching, only 80 likes. Can you guys please hit the like button? Please, again, please hit that like button. Goodness.
A lot of people are doing what a lot of people I know do. They support Biden, but they're not actually going to go vote at all. We forget about that group. Oh, they're on here arguing politics every day, but they're not going to go vote for anybody. And the problem is, the majority of the time, that group tends to be on the liberal side, because what you do whenever you see a lot of liberals trying to get together and take a stand on something, what you actually do is you embolden and encourage conservatives to get up and go vote and do what they got to do. So that's why you hear people talking about a red wave, because they know soon as these because conservatives look at liberals like they're not that smart. So they're like, yo, all the like idiots are trying to mobilize. Let's get together and crush them. Not realizing that most of these liberals aren't going to show up to the polls. And a lot of them are going to vote third party because they don't like Joe Biden either. But my question to you, Gerald, you're on here, and I'm not trying to ask you who you voting for, but I just want to get a general consensus of whether or not my mind is working properly. On one side, and this doesn't say who you're going to vote for. Let's say you got man A. He's like, look, I want to release black people from jail. Not only am I going to do that, I'm going to sign legislation, which is bills into law that is going to begin the process of releasing these people. You got people on the internet going up to the White House, hugging Donald Trump, thank you, telling their story. He's going to release, and he's done it. He's put it into action. And then you got another guy who's like, look, wait until after you elect me. Wait until after I win the presidency. Then we're going to talk about your problems. Oh, I don't know about marijuana. And then flip-flops. Marijuana's going to be legal, but we're going to research it. But he's making no specific promises on anything. Who do you think black people should pick in that? And we're not saying it's Trump and Biden. We're just saying in general. The guy who's already doing things that benefit you, or the guy who's making a bunch of empty promises, but not even making promises that are directly directed at you? What do you think, Gerald?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, Trump has already shown that he's at least, put some proposals forward, and he's already done some things as far as, for the black community. So, definitely for black people, Trump is the better choice. And I'm definitely, supporting Trump as well. However, I will tell you this. So I've had just in my own immediate family, I might be probably the only Trump supporter.
So you voted for Trump.
Yeah. I haven't voted yet, but on election day, I'm going to go out to vote for Trump. But my family, they're registered Republicans, but they haven't, but they're not voting for Trump. But they are Republicans. And the reason why is obviously because of a lot of the media lies. One thing I noticed, though, is in all these conversations, whenever I ask them to at least name a policy that Joe Biden has that directly affects you or that helps black people, nobody can do it. And this is just across the board with every Joe Biden supporter. Nobody can point to a single policy for why they're actually voting for Joe Biden.
Gerald, let me say this. Somebody in the comments said this. Biden did mention that all crimes related to marijuana will be forgiven. Here's what people are failing to understand. Joe Biden can say anything he wants to, right? But Joe Biden is a very old man who's suffering from early onset dementia. So Joe Biden can say anything. But when Joe Biden gets in the White House, will he have the energy to go and work, talk, have the meetings on both sides to get this legislation passed? That's what we don't realize. The president not only has to promise something, he has to be able to go and work with both sides to get something passed. And let me tell you something, because the Republicans do not view Joe Biden as somebody who's fit to be president, they will filibuster him. They will not work with him on anything. So what you're doing is you're saying, look, either I'm going to get 4 more years of like benefits for black people via Trump, or I'm going to vote in a guy who no one's going to work with. So he's going to get nothing passed. And we already know he's going to be a one-term president. You're wasting 4 years of your life. You're setting our people back 4 years, right? Based on your opinion and your feelings. No one-term president gets anything accomplished. You know, Biden is 77. By the time he does his first term, he'll be 80-something and his mind's already failing him. Why would you be so silly as to put someone in office who you already know is going to get nothing done? He's not going to be able to, just the way checks and balances work. So you're shooting yourself in the foot. You got somebody else, Dinus?
Yeah. Eric, go ahead, Eric. Oh, let me unmute him. Hold on. Hey, unmute yourself, Eric.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
All right, this is my deal, man. I didn't vote in 2016. I just kind of sat home, but this year, 2020, I just voted for Trump because of the Democrats got a bunch of anti-black male propaganda, and they kind of catering to the females, and the females kind of control what the black dudes do in the black community, man. So that's why I voted for Trump. Man. I'm just tired of it. So
hey, let me tell you this. Somebody said, see, and this shows you how our people think. Chip OC, I'm gonna put your name out there. Biden and Trump are literally 4 years apart, Brandon. Stop it. No, yes, in a president's term is only 4 years. So
and listen to me. Another thing too, a lot of people don't see that this is going on. They like the average white voter, they looking at Biden about to get clock out of here. He ain't gonna last 4 years. So you got a black girl coming behind him, and she gonna mess everything up. That's how a lot of
Indian girl.
Yeah, I'm saying though, but they don't look at her like as a fully as a fully white woman. But you know what I'm saying. So that's just too close to being a black woman running the country. And this is why you get no surge of votes like back in 2016, where Donald Trump got the most the primary votes of all time. Kind of nobody talks about that. So I think you got a bunch of suburban white girls. You got a bunch of Appalachian extra people, Trump supporters taking their friends because they know I don't think Biden will last 4 years. Cause he almost 79 years old, right?
He's old as dirt.
So that's what the white women and the white men, older over the age of 35 looking at, because they can't have no black chick up in that White House like that. If he kicked the bucket, that's another thing. So that's where the extra votes are coming from. So I think he might get he gonna get an upsurge in black voters. It's gonna definitely be over 20%. We know that. I'm thinking 25, close to 25, between 25 and 30.
I think you get about 8%. I don't think you're gonna get over 20 because I don't think that many black people gonna vote. But I want to say
Brad, I think it's gonna be more than 8%. And guys, we have only 100. We have only 100 likes. Guys,
hit that
like button, guys. Please hit that like button. Good.
I'm saying black men. I think black men will be over 20%. Black men. I guarantee that. I'll bet money on that right now.
Black men are not voting for Joe Biden. They either gonna not vote or they're gonna vote for Donald Trump because
there's a
lot of simp black men out there though.
But I'm talking about black men, not no black race apologist, spineless dude. Look, I want to talk to this person, Congo Dorf Kane, right here. Trump paid over $188,000 in taxes to China. Trump paid zero tax to the United States of America. Is that your king? Let me tell you something, Congo Dorf. My king is not determined by how much taxes he pays to America or China, because whether Trump paid taxes to China, Mars, Pluto, Venus, it has nothing to do with you. I have one concern: black people getting let out of jail, and Donald Trump is doing that. Now, whoever your king is, if you come on here and explain to me what he's gonna specifically do for black folks, right? Specifically, then you're welcome to get on here and make your argument. Everybody can talk about what Trump did or what Trump didn't do, but can't nobody supporting Biden talk about what Biden's gonna do and what he's already done. His resume condemns him. That's how you know a lot of people don't have a company or no type of business, because they don't understand that a person's resume speaks louder than anything else. 47 years in politics, 47 years of failure, period. He ain't done nothing but beat up on us. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to do what all loser presidents do. When they realize that they're about to be a lame duck and nothing's going to get passed, they start reverting back to their old ways. Let's do something to tear up the black community some more, because at least I'll get remembered by good old white folks as somebody who did something against black people. Joe Biden is a Manchurian candidate, if I've ever seen one, totally controlled by China. Soon as he gets elected, Nancy Pelosi, China, and Kamala Harris will be controlling the United States. And let me tell you about one thing about all three of those entities. They hate blacks. They hate black people. So
Listen, man.
go ahead and seal your fate.
Yeah, I live in D.C., but I'm from South Carolina. I'm still registered to vote down there, so I had to mail my ballot in, I think, last week, so they should have it by now. Because I know if I send it to my mother and my sister, they would throw it in the trash. Because they like long term, program to be Democrat, and they got D.C. so boarded up, man. You can't get like the White House blocked off.
D.C. boarded up.
Yeah, it's like from the White House on 16th and 8th Street, so you can't go past like Chinatown from 7th Street. Let me see. Said like a box. 7th Street goes like parallel to the White House. It's like 6 blocks boarded up all around. So they got like the whole city boarded up because it's gonna be something definitely gonna happen tomorrow night, no matter what.
Look,
it's crazy, man.
People keep saying Trump is as old as Biden. Look, Trump is 4 years younger than Biden. When you get in your 70s, that's a big deal. And let me tell you something too. Trump, let me tell you something. I must admit this about Trump. I've never seen a man that old with that much.
What he's doing, like 5 rallies a day?
5 rallies a day.
Listen, he was doing that back. He was doing that back in 2015 and 2016.
And now he's doing it again.
And had the coronavirus and beat it in 3 days.
This guy's a cyborg, man. This dude is a cyborg. And I see Joe Biden, who's been under a lid. He's been hiding in his basement for the past several weeks. And then he comes out, says something crazy as hell, and then they hide him back in the basement. Stop saying Trump and Biden are just as old as each other. One is clearly in cognitive decline, as somebody just mentioned. And then the other, and I hate to say something somebody said without saying their name, but I lost it. But one of the people in the audience said Joe Biden's in cognitive decline. And it's obvious. It's obvious. The man said he was wearing a Philadelphia Eagles jacket yesterday or the day before and was wearing a University of Delaware jacket. the blue hens. The blue hens.
Are you serious?
Yes. He said, I got my Philadelphia Eagles jacket on.
Yeah.
And I'm a Philly girl and wasn't even wearing no Philadelphia Eagles jacket. He referred to himself as Kamala Harris's wife. The man is gone mentally. He's gone.
Yeah, that's gonna definitely hurt him, man. I don't think he's not
gonna last. Elderly abuse, man. It's elderly abuse, man. And what they're gonna do, because the Democrats have a simple strategy. One, Biden is connected to Obama, so black people gonna vote for him. They think you're stupid. That's one. Then they're like, Joe Biden is somebody who's been in American politics for a long time. So people who just have a familiarity with him will vote for him too. 3, Joe Biden will say anything that is necessary to get that vote. He'll say he'll lie, he'll steal, he'll do whatever. So they got a trifecta that they're banking on to get people to vote for him.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight, man. But I think Trump gonna prevail at the end of the day. It's gonna definitely be tight. And we might not see I think it's gonna be like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks before we see any type of results.
You think so?
That's what's going to have everybody kind of nervous because they got like almost 85 million votes mailed in, and they got it's going to be a lot of fraud tomorrow, a lot of fake news. So, we might not get like I'm thinking like Thanksgiving. I'm not even exaggerating. Seriously, it's crazy, man.
It won't last that long, because Donald Trump. You got to realize Donald Trump will still be president, and the minute that thing doesn't close on the same day, he's going to go to work trying to destroy ballots and telling people, look, we ain't counting these. And, because technically all the ballots supposed to be counted before the close of the day of the election. That's by law. But the Democrats are trying to finagle stuff. But
you remember George Bush and Al Gore, right?
Yeah.
That took, about a month, right?
George Bush. No. That took like 2 weeks when they
exactly. So Thanksgiving like 2.5 weeks, and that was like 20 years ago. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But I just want to check in, and I'm gonna let you guys go get somebody else on.
And they supposedly
appreciate it, Eric.
All right, appreciate you guys. Take care.
this, Dinus, real quick. Somebody, News Now, Pan Africa said, Brandon, where did you get your medical degree? Well, I don't have a medical degree, but I do have a grandmother who died from Alzheimer's, and a great grandmother and a grandfather who died from Alzheimer's, and a grandfather who's going through it right now. So and I took care of those people when I was in my early 20s, right? So I understand what early onset dementia looks like. And I can guarantee you that behind closed doors, Joe Biden, he doesn't have any keys to lose, but if he did, he would constantly be asking, where did I put my keys? If he had a wallet to lose, he'd be asking, where did I put my wallet? He would be sitting up talking about his childhood because that's what he does on stage. And those are the beginning signs of early onset dementia. When you literally forget what you're doing in the middle of doing it, you forget where you are, and you start to forget things about your past, and you start to forget things in the present. I would love for somebody to honestly just sit Joe Biden down and ask him, Joe, what did you have for lunch yesterday? And I guarantee you, he would blah, 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 and he might be able to latch on and find that memory, but he's definitely in decline. And it's obvious because it's on stage in front of millions of Americans. Now, you can say whatever you want, and I know in this world we've started this thing where we throw away personal experience. But I know what dementia looks like. I've seen it 4 times in my life. Right? I'll probably die from Alzheimer's because clearly it runs in my family. But I'm not gonna sit up and act like I don't know what it looks like just because your massa has it and you want him to be in the big house. That's not me. I'm not doing this for Trump to win over Biden or vice versa. I'm doing this because I know there's only one candidate underneath which we will be able to gain economic security so that we can then build and have a economic pathway to Africa. That's it. Joe Biden is about to raise your taxes.
Okay. Derek, go ahead, Darius. You're in North Carolina. How's it looking?
North Carolina right now, it's a toss-up, but it's leaning more towards Biden. They did the early absentee votes, and Biden is leading like 47 to like 45. It's really close, edging more towards Biden.
And you think,
well, we still got to counter the absentee ballots and mails that come in because this is just strictly early voting. They have to factor in the mail-in votes that are going to come in later and also those on election day. But again, North Carolina is a toss-up. They went for Donald Trump in 2016, but by a slight margin. So it's up for grabs here. Where I'm at is heavily Democratic area. We are Greensboro is heavily Democratic, so we're going for we're going for Joe Biden. I'm going for Joe Biden. And the reason I'm going for Joe Biden is the Trump administration is unstable, completely unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to get from Donald Trump. Donald Trump keeps acting like an infantile little child. He cannot come up with a coherent sentence. You're talking about Joe Biden being like, oh, he forgot to say this. At least Joe Biden doesn't say, well, you see, they were really big. They were really big. You see that? That's literally what a toddler, somebody in their ambulatory talks. For God's sakes, my 8-year-old cousins have more intellectual ability to come up with a proper syntax. Literally, the syntax is better than what Donald Trump is. So we're going to have somebody, the president of the United States, the most powerful country in the world as of right now, speaking lower than a 4th grader is embarrassing. Secondly, you talk about mass incarceration rates and how Donald Trump is releasing all of these, ex-convicts, and he signed this legislation despite the fact that this was literally proposed and brought up during the Obama administration. And then you're going to bring up the crime bill in 1994, what Joe Biden did and how it issued mass incarceration. Mind you, all the states with the highest mass incarceration rates are in Republican-controlled states with a Republican-controlled Senate and House of Representatives. This is in. Yes, it is. Yeah, look, listen. I'm not. Listen, Brandon. I'm talking right now. Brandon, I'm talking right now. Okay, give me. I am talking right now, Brandon. Give me statistics, facts, from concrete. No. You're not going to sit here and lie and spew propaganda. You're not going to give you
time so we can shoot the points down. There's me trying to ramble on. So let's start with the first thing you said. Go back to the first thing you said. I want to go one by one. I'll let you talk, but let's go one by one. You said that Trump's campaign is unpredictable. So what I want you to do, since you said that, because you know so much, North Carolina, Trump is Biden is winning by 1 point within the margin of error. So you know so much. You're going by anecdotal evidence, fine. But this is what I want you to answer.
These are polls. These are early polls, not anecdotal.
Ask you a question. You said Trump's campaign is unpredictable. So you tell me what you know, because we had Trump for 4 years already, so we know what he's about. You tell me what you know for a fact that Joe Biden is going to do. And if you can't, that means his campaign is unpredictable.
We know. We know for a fact. We know for a fact. And I'm going off of my concerns, my strict concerns. Okay. Our economics and the environment. And these are my two. These are my two concerns. These my two concerns. Okay. My two concerns.
What has Biden told us that he is going to pass legislation to do? And you better have something good, because you said Trump's unpredictable. So if you can't, that means Biden's more unpredictable. So tell me, what do you know for a fact that Biden has promised on stage publicly to do? And I better be able to look it up on YouTube or on Google. What has he promised to do? Tell me.
Okay, so the very first thing that he was going to promise to do, and I'm doing strictly from the environment, the very first thing, you said anything. So I'm going to answer that exact question. He said word for word in the debate that he was going to put us back into the climate accord. He's also planning to shift us off to fossil fuels, to renewable energy. You can look this back up on the second presidential debate, the town hall, the last presidential debate, the town hall.
No, you don't explain. And I agree with you. So now let's go. Let's go to the next one. What's the next thing he said he's gonna do? Climate change. We're gonna do environmental change back in the Paris Accord. What's the next thing?
He said he was gonna increase the corporate tax rate, which I 100% support. He said he's gonna increase the corporate tax rate back to 28%, and I'm comfortable with that, and I support that.
Okay, what's the next thing?
The next thing that he was going to promise is he was going to make sure that he was going to create a commission to possibly expand the Supreme Court, which he promised to do, which I'm glad he's going to do that, because we got conned out of that seat. That was supposed to be Merrick Garland's seat. So he's planning to do that. He promised to do that. That is according to the Biden campaign. And he's also planning to work with Bernie Sanders as labor of secretary.
Okay, he's going to pack the court. That's the third thing. Let's go. Now, what's the next thing?
He was going to put Bernie Sanders as part of our labor, Bernie Sanders as a cabinet member of the labor secretary. Sorry, the Department of Labor.
Okay, do you have another thing?
Those are my top four things I know right now. Okay. As I know off the top of me right now. Those four things.
Let me ask you a question that's real serious. And then I want to ask you, we got those. Let me ask you another question. Okay, now let's look at Trump's side. Did or did not Trump pass the First Step Act, which resulted, and you just answer these yes or no now. Did or did not Trump pass the First Step Act, which resulted in thousands of inmates being released from prison who were in jail for minor crimes, for ridiculous sentences, and over 95% of those people were African American? Yes or no?
No, he signed it. He didn't pass it. He didn't pass it. He signed it. So if you're talking about signed, it's a yes. He signed it. He did it.
Yes or no?
Yes.
That means he signed it into law, right?
Yes.
Okay. Number two. Did Donald Trump or not give long-term funding to HBCUs once the funding Obama gave expired? Yes or no?
Yes, but not by that much. It's literally the same as the Obama administration. Just a continuation. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I talked to my HBCU friends and my HBCU students at my university right now.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. He just suspended. Yes.
10 years, right?
Yes, he did. Yes. We're just going to put for sake. Yes, just for sake. Yes.
Listen, does HBCU stand for historically Black college or university? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now this is the last one. Did Trump reside over the lowest Black unemployment rate in history? All I want to know is yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. Right. So let's look what we did. So let's see. So do you see what I did there?
Right.
I just named 3 things that Trump did that directly impact our Black people, and you
didn't even give brighter context.
Hold on, wait, and you just listed a bunch of crap that Biden promised to do but hasn't done that really has no impact on us one way or another one. See,
Hold on.
you're not.
I can respond. No, I can respond to that. I can easily respond to that. Okay. So number one, you said the lowest black unemployment. Does that include inflation? Does that include cost of living? Does that include wage growth? Does that include income inequality? Because it's great that you said, oh, you got 3.5 unemployment. That's like saying during slavery there was zero unemployment. Yeah, because we're all working and we had no rights. So once again, so if we have 3.5 unemployment rate, what is the overall black income, the overall black wealth, black home ownership? Can you please answer those three questions for me?
Okay, let me ask you one more question. Answer yes or no. Did I not just list 3 things Trump did that directly impacted black people in a positive way? And did you just not mention 4 things that Biden claims he's going to do that he hasn't done yet, that have really nothing to do with us? Yes or no?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Climate change disproportionately affects black people, especially in our community. The courts are especially going to be a special factor, considering the Voting Rights, the Civil Rights Act. Yes, these stuff all impact our community.
I cannot.
Go ahead, Cordy.
Brother Darius, and trust me, I'm a recycler. I'm a massive recycler. But I can just tell you that climate change is not, when this brother Brandon just named off 3 things that absolutely, let me tell you, I just got a letter in the mail today from an official letter from Biden's campaign. And they listed as the top 3 reasons why you should vote for Biden. The first one was, come on, he's not Trump. Now, you talk about 8-year-old. You're talking about having the intellect of an 8-year-old or not having an intellect, but we're talking about a complete administration of handlers. So the same handlers that Biden would be getting to tell him, you know who you should get in front of you? Cardi B. You have a handler such as Donald Trump has, who's saying, hey, you know what? These are some people that you should be meeting with. And I'm not trying to say, hey, Donald Trump has all the answers. But what I am thinking, that what I know for sure, as a former elected official, I ran for office as a Republican. I ran for office. It was a successful campaign as the youngest elected councilwoman in Coconut Grove, Miami, Florida. I can tell you that the Democrats are absolutely running an incredibly unaligned campaign with the issues of Black people. And it is an insult to our intelligence. When you talk about Donald Trump having the intelligence of an 8-year-old, the type of campaign that they have run over this past couple of years, because let's get this very well documented and known. They have had plenty of time to come up with a more formidable candidate. They could not produce it. Joe Biden is not it. He is not it. Oh, and let me go on. So the number 2 reason they said was because of climate change. Now, again, I love recycling. I love the pets. You know, I have all of the things checked off for being a super voter, as opposed just missing the age. That is included in super voter. I definitely love my neighborhood. Climate change is not something that I'm expecting on seeing on the top 3 reasons why I should direct my vote that way, especially to counter with what this man did that was only comparable to what the Reagan era did with the war on drugs, with what the crime bill did with incarcerating our communities.
Oh, Megan.
So, and yes.
Can I ask you a question as a person who's been an elected official? Okay. Yes. Do you agree with me when I say that Joe Biden talking about climate change and entering the Paris Accord is nothing more than doing what his handler China wants, which is to stop the United States production of oil and oil self-reliance, so that the 2 truest gross polluters on the planet, China and Russia, are still able to produce oil and burn dirty coal with no type of regulation? Would you say that this is what
I think that that's exactly correct, because I think if you even look at his flip-flopping on fracking, you can go back to looking at what this man does environmentally to now say that he's so much in favor of a climate change that he lists that as his number 2 reason.
Hold on real quick, Darius. Hold on real quick. So what we know as Black informed voters is this. What good does it do for the United States to stop producing fuels, fossil fuels, mining fossil fuels, and stop producing its own oil. When, according to the Paris Accord, we have to stop polluting right now. Even though we have some of the cleanest burning coal plants, we have clean coal. We have all our stuff is high tech to where it keeps environmental.
Fossil, there's no such thing as clean coal. There's no such thing as clean coal. Coal is inherently, when you put it, it contaminates the air and it leads to black lungs. It leads to black lungs and lung cancer. There's no such thing as clean coal or fossil fuel.
Wait, Darius, did you say you're in Greensboro?
No.
Yes.
Darius, you're in Greensboro?
There.
Yes.
Oh, you got quiet.
I said, did you say that you're in Greensboro?
Yes. Oh no, is my signal? Yeah, I'm from Greensboro. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I was interested in that because I actually just left South Carolina this weekend, and I know it's not exactly your area. I was in actually Spartanburg, but I find that very.
I'm from South Carolina.
But you're from South Carolina originally, so you know that they're going red. And I'm telling you, they had someone who her tree was knocked in her mobile home, and she looked like she couldn't wait to get up there to give Trump all her vote. So I just think that we have to be very realistic here when we talk about some of the major things that we're up against. When you say, okay, I do think this is the year that absolutely a lot of us have awakened, but you're talking about an incumbent, and we're talking about as was mentioned earlier. I think with Brother Eric, he mentioned when with the Bush and Gore fiasco. I'm from Florida, so the whole hanging Chad situation. I was in Philly at the time, but from Florida, and the whole hanging Chad situation was, it was a nightmare. It actually reformed the way they did voting booths. But at any rate, you're talking about President Bush had an even lower opinion rate or popular opinion from Black voters, and he still was elected. George W. Bush was elected to 2 terms. And they said, I saw that a professional predictor of presidential elections said that, facing something that is social unrest as well as a national crisis, also hard for even an incumbent president to come back from. But again, George W. Bush and 9/11, anybody remember that? Anybody remember the social unrest from the hanging Chads? And this man still came back and defeated the someone who was highly touted by the president that had the highest popular opinion, Bill Clinton.
Don't say his name.
Okay.
Don't say his name. I want to ask Darius a political question real quick. Who did George W. Bush defeat in his George W. Who did he defeat in his second presidential campaign?
John Kerry.
Okay.
John
Kerry, I worked that campaign.
Right. So,
and I worked that campaign.
So John Kerry was like a Joe Biden type person. He had been around forever. He was a strong candidate. But guess what? He had no policies. So he's just like Joe Biden. And what I want to say to you is this. You're talking about, oh, there's no such thing as clean coal and all this stuff. But this is the question I want to ask you. How does it benefit America or Black people in America for America to stop producing energy, right? That's what we're going to do is stop producing energy to save the planet. But what we're going to do is allow China and Russia, people who pollute the planet like 50 times more than we do, we're going to allow them to continue operating according to the same standards for the next 40 years. Why should we pull out when the planet is still going to get polluted at the same rate for 40 years? Because they don't even have to enter into the different restrictions of the Paris Accord for the next 40 years. Am I right or wrong, Omega?
What, can I?
I'm sorry, Darius. Did you want to answer that?
Yeah, I want to respond to that. So he was like, despite the fact that China is the global polluter, as of right now, China is off the track. 4 of the world's 5 biggest renewable energy deals were made by Chinese companies in 2016 to 2018. China's already the leading renewable energy production figures, and you can actually look this up. So my question is to you, if we know that, my question is, I'm talking right now. So if China is taking those necessary steps and we're still trying to accelerate doing fossil fuels, How does that benefit us? So
You didn't
the
answer
country
question.
that you say
You didn't answer the question.
yes.
I wanted this. That's the reason why I wanted Darius to take that answer, because I'm still waiting to hear it. How does climate change, strong policies on climate change affect Black people directly?
I'll respond to. I'll clarify that real quick.
And I went to an
bring up the China
HBCU,
part
by
real
the
quick
way.
because he said yes. So the reason why it affects Black people is we additionally affect from health issues such as heart disease, asthma, and all of this stuff is a Yes, we do. We are disproportionately affected by
heart disease.
Lung,
Tell me where that is affected to lung disease, but also that's the direct effect of smoking. Direct effect of smoking, not what's happening in the climate.
Yeah, they don't.
Yes, it does.
Because you're talking about. I used to live in Arizona.
Those fossil fuels that get emitted into the atmosphere, those particles spread all throughout the atmosphere, and they get inhaled into you.
Lung disease is a higher component from those that actually smoke as well. This is where I'm missing the connection, brother.
Dinus.
Smoking plays a factor. Okay, somebody's personal habits plays a factor, but the environmental aspects also play in as well. To say that it's just people smoking is deeply problematic. When we live by those plants, when we live by coal plants, when we live by those fossil fuels, it gets emitted into the atmosphere and we're inhaling it. And it may not directly affect us, but overall, I mean, in the immediate term, but overall, they will affect us. This is a fact. This is proven with science. I do this stuff on a daily basis.
Can you hold on, Dinus. Can you please just take your phone and Google who's the #1 polluter on the planet?
China is the number. We know China is the biggest, but it's also producing renewable energy.
Wait, Darius, but you refuse to answer the basic questions, and that discredits your whole argument. Because if you ask me a straightforward question, I'm gonna just answer it truthfully, and that's a sign of your age, really. Because you don't have to win the argument. All you have to do is support your points. That's it. So China's the #1 polluter on the planet. They produce the most carbon dioxide on the planet. But the way we're going to end global warming, according to Joe Biden, is for America to stop polluting right now. Meaning Americans get to stop polluting energy, which means they have to stop making energy, producing energy, so we can then do what? Buy it from somebody else. Why doesn't wait, hold on. I'm going to give you a chance to answer. Why? Now, this is the question for you. Young man, listen.
Yes.
Why is it that the #1 polluter doesn't have to stop, but the person who's not the #1 polluter has to stop? China gets to be the #1 polluter for the next 40 years, according to the Green New Deal that Joe Biden wants to be a part of in the Paris Accord, right?
First of all, okay, can I respond to that?
And let's also mention that not only do they get to continue to be the #1 polluter, but they also are not. They're the most underrepresented voting group in the United States. Don't you love that? We're not going to get involved in any type of politics. We're just going to let the economy play out the way it's going to play out in our favor. But yeah, we're going to continue to put people in office that support that exact economical cycle and machine. I think that, brother, like I said, Darius, I listen to you. I hear you, but I do not think you have a dog in this fight, literally. When the president wanting to be the president-elect himself says the #1 reason to vote for him is the fact that he's not Trump. I think Houston, we've got a problem, or Delaware, whoever he's wearing on that day.
Go ahead.
I'll bring two brief points. The very first point that I would like to say is, yes, China right now is the biggest polluter. The U.S. is not far behind. So it's like a battle for first place. So they're both polluters. However, like I said, with China, with them having the biggest removal, they're shifting off faster than us. So once again, yes, I'm talking.
No, but hold on, Darius. Hold on, Brandon. Hold on. This is my show. Now, Darius, I'm not I don't know anything about pollution, but I'm willing to bet if China's #1, India has to be #2. Now, I could be wrong.
India's
number 3.
Okay, who's number 2?
United States.
Oh, okay.
Hey, but look at this. Let me make this quick point where nobody understands. United States may be the number 2 polluter on the planet, right? But when you look at how much aid the United States gives to other countries, when you look at the size of the United States military, when you look at the fact that many of the world's most thriving economies militaristically depend on the United States, you can kind of understand why the United States is polluting so much when they produce energy. Also, the United States takes measures to prevent the carbon emissions from their plants. Chinese factories literally have no filters on their plants, which means they literally just let straight carbon go into the atmosphere, which damages the ozone layer and everything at a super high rate. China is polluting for China's benefit. The United States is polluting for not only their benefit, but also for yours, because you live here, Darius, but also for the benefit of all these countries that depend on the United States to exist, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I have one. I can answer that in one question.
Go ahead.
All of the major contributors to greenhouse gas and carbon emission are major American multinational corporations. So, and Donald Trump has given them literally breaks to go drill and do whatever they want to do. So the biggest contributors per capita, per the entire world, are major U.S. companies. And instead of telling them that they're going to do a carbon tax that would eliminate these emissions that are coming into the atmosphere, which disproportionately affect our communities, since we're right by nuclear plants and power plants, and we're just going to let them run wild. Rather than having a carbon tax,
Now let me say this. You made your point. Now let me ask you this, which is why I know all liberals are stuck in a perpetual loop of ignorance. Now, your guy, Biden, is saying that he's going to deliver you all these things by taxing those same companies that you don't want to let do business. So this is what I'm asking you. Where is the money going to come from? You, one, want to cut their ability to make money off, right? Then you, two, want to take money through taxes from them to fund all the freaking fairy tale crap that Joe Biden says he's going to do. Something's got to give, Darius. It literally makes no sense. Dynus, that's like me saying this. Wait, hold on. Let me use a quick analogy. That's like me saying, Darius, you want a new car? I'm going to make Dynus pay for it. But I'm going to go get the money out of his pocket. But then I say, Dynus, I'm cutting your hours at work in half. Does that make sense? How am I going to pay for Darius' new car with your money when I won't even give you what you need to make money? Dynus, does that make sense?
No.
I'll give 3 responses.
That's what you're doing. You're talking about we need to stop emissions, which they have to emit. They have to have emissions to make money. But then you're also talking about we giving everybody free tuition and all this with their money. It don't make sense. They're gonna just go out of business, and then you're not gonna have nothing, and your economy is gonna crash. You don't understand.
3 things. Three quick points. 1, you tax those major companies that are emitting it. 2, you subsidize and give more investment to those wind and solar companies, since they don't get enough subsidies, enough grants, enough investment.
It didn't work. That's what Obama tried to do, and it didn't work. The wind and solar companies that you love to throw out, you know what they did? They took all that money that Obama gave them, and they filed bankruptcy. They took the money, didn't produce nothing they said they would produce, and now they're sitting on billions over in the Cayman Islands, and you still here talking about, we need to do that again. See,
weren't all the oil, gas, and fossil fuel lobbying, because Republicans also do as well. We're blocking all of that from happening. So once again, you're talking. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Any type of climate regulation, environmental regulations that were put by Obama, the Republicans try to block it.
Hold on, Darius. Omega, as an elected person, can you confirm that what I'm saying is true?
I can definitely tell you that, listen, what we're dealing with or what we're thinking about handling as a local, this is not something that should be these type of politics that we're discussing here. This has nothing to do with us as a collective. Let me say that again. Nothing to do with us as a collective. I was a local councilwoman. And the things that we saw affected quality of life on a day-to-day basis. it was very much more so acclimated to what was happening with business, what was happening with development, what was happening with gentrification, and that was local politics.
Omega.
Now, when you get to climate, when we got to, you know, there was water conservation, that was definitely an issue. You know, sea level rise, that began to be an issue because it was Miami after all. But listen, we should not get as a collective distracted by these national agendas that do nothing to affect our quality of life on a day-to-day basis, our community, our culture, our diaspora. We talk in circles. We talk in circles.
Every Black person who needs an excuse to vote for Joe Biden and not vote for Donald Trump or just not vote at all, right? They always bring up the environment. And as much as me and Dinus have done this, every time you say, look, Black man, why are you voting against your own interest? Well, because the environment, and we live on Earth, don't we? That's their number one excuse. So,
and again, it's almost like the same argument, because again, I love pets. I have 2 cats. I love my fur babies. But it's just like when people say, you know what, we have to do these things to protect our animals, right? As much as I love my pets, I've got 2 actual live babies children that walk on 2 legs. I'm going to do what I can to protect my legacy before I do what I can to protect the 4-legged.
If you were starving and didn't have no food, what's the first thing you gonna eat? I eat these.
Hold on. Lou Major, go ahead, Lou Major.
Well, first of all, Donis, I got to go ahead and tell you, you've been on a roll lately, man. You're on fire right now. You're knocking them dead with really good topics lately. You're crushing it.
Hey, Lou, tomorrow night we're doing the election marathon starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to watch the results as they come in, and, you know, we're going to do what we do. But go ahead, Lou Major.
You should go ahead and hire some strippers, man. Make it interesting. Anyway.
Don't forget the hot sauce. If we're going to hire strippers, that's the Biden plan. Hot sauce and stripper plan. Don't forget the hot sauce.
I mean, listen, the Democrats believe that we ought to be getting our booties to the polls, so we might as well go and have some booties while people are at the polls. You know what I'm saying? So since that's what apparently is going to attract Black male voters, is a bunch of strippers telling them that they need to get their booty to the poll. But I mean, but what I want to ask, you know, Darius, man, I lay to death, man. I'm going to assume that you probably are a big supporter. I'm going to assume a couple things about you. One, you're probably young. 2,
of course,
I'm gonna
yes, 21.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm going to assume that you have you ever run a business before, like owned a business?
I'm a college student right now. No, I don't run a business right now.
Okay, how about this? When's the last time you worked a full-time job and had to pay all your bills by yourself? I'm assuming you do that right.
Never had to.
Okay, so you've never had to balance a checkbook. You've never had to work a job, pay taxes. You've never had to do any of those things.
No, not yet. No.
Okay. All right. Well, now here's the deal. Now, I understand, man. I think your passion is really good. But what I think, you know, Darius, you might want to take into account is that you've got 3, now 4 grown people who run businesses or have worked jobs, who have paid taxes, who are trying to tell you, brother, that the Democrats and the policies aren't good for you. And now listen, you've never had to work a job your whole life. And that's a blessing, man. I really think that's awesome, because there's a lot of us out here, myself included, I'm assuming, not Dynas, because Dynas has always been a pretty boy athlete, but we've got Big Brandon, and we've got, not Omega here. She's been a kept woman for a while. But I'm saying that there are some of us who in their teenagers have had to work jobs, who's had to take care of themselves for a long time. And, you know, you've been blessed where you haven't had to do that, and that's great. But what I also think is you ought to really take a moment to actually take into account that there might be a reason why Black men would be looking at Donald Trump at such a high clip. There might just be a reason. And instead of condemning them, remember, man, it might behoove you to take a moment to sit there and try to understand why. Because listen, I understand that you care about the environment. But if you think these white folks who are telling everybody that they should care about the environment if they really cared about the environment, why are they still building houses the same way they build them right now? Because let me tell you something. You could build a house that is 100 times stronger with hemp and bamboo, and it would cost 1/10 of what it currently costs to build a house now. Right? You could, but yet they're not pushing legislation to make that happen. And you want to know why? Because God forbid some brown people would dominate those agricultural realms. Because the best places to grow hemp don't happen to be in the US of A, right? If these people really cared about the environment as much as you say they do, then explain to me why there's more regulation around construction, which increases the price of construction and makes it dirtier, worse for the environment, because of the fact that it incentivizes inefficiency and unnecessary labor, meaning more uses of power, more uses of resources to build something that costs substantially more. Why is the states that have the most legislation to cause this type of waste and to cause this type of environmental damage, why are those states democratically run states if they really care about the environment? Because here's the thing, it's one thing to say something, Darius. This is something you're going to learn as you go through life. It's one thing to say you believe something. But if you really want to know what somebody actually believes, Darius, you got to watch what they actually do. Democrats say they care about black people, yet the hardest places for black people to accumulate wealth in America are in democratically run states. And there has been no effort made at all to try to correct that. As a matter of fact, they have passed more legislation to hurt black wealth. I mean, Massachusetts, you would say, is probably the bastion of liberalism, right? Yet the average black person in Massachusetts is worth $8. The average white person is worth $170,000. That is a massive wealth gap. Now, on the contrary, do you know where there's more black businesses than anywhere else in the country?
Republican.
You get Montgomery, Alabama. More, if you are a black person, you want to run a business and you want to accumulate some wealth, you're better off in Montgomery, Alabama, a state that is about as red as you can get, than you would be if you were in Massachusetts, a state that's about as blue as you can get. So at some point, Darius, you have to start asking yourself, this don't make sense. And if it don't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Now, Darius, I'm going to take some liberties here. I'm going to assume that you specifically are very much pro-Democrat because of some very specific things to you that we can all see, we won't acknowledge, but we all know why you might be very Democratic. Now, if that's the reason, I want you to understand that I understand that, and if I was you, I would be the same way. But I think what might be prudent is for you to simply admit that. Because right now, I don't think you're making a very good argument for why black people should vote for Democrats, because we're seeing this person who is passionately pushing for it, has never worked a job, has never had to balance a checkbook, have never paid taxes, and is just a college student and is 21 years old. While you have 4 professional black people who has made lots of money, who has had success, telling you that these policies don't benefit us, and yet you're resisting. Can you help me understand your reasoning for that, Darius? Or is it what we're not saying?
Yes, I want to address a couple points. I would like to address a couple points. The first point is that I'm not condemning y'all. I understand your point. Like I said, I recognize in my own party, because I've been a Democrat since high school. I was a young Democrat in high school.
There. You don't have to apologize, bro. Go ahead and get to, you ain't gotta. Yeah, we're not
okay. But the point is that those issues. I was just saying those issues such as wealth inequality, the wage gap, not being able to make a decent living, that the fact that you have major developers that are coming into these communities, these opportunity zones, taking advantage of the residents there, pushing them out, it matters to me. And I'm thinking from this from a lower class point of view, somebody who lives in poverty, because I know that I come from a privileged background. I'm not going to graduate with any debt. I had a full ride scholarship. I've already got job opportunities. So I know that I'm set. But for somebody who, let's say, is living on minimum wage and cannot afford to live where they are because the price is too much for them.
I don't think you can make
minimum
those type
wage
of
increase
arguments for
matters to
this
Black
other
people.
group,
It matters.
Darius. I don't even think
It
so.
matters.
Darius,
Now, listen, you know
It
what?
matters.
Let me tell you, that is such a trick. That is such a trick of the Democratic Party. Let me tell you, when I first went to my first Mingler as an official candidate, and it was my first time actually being in a room networking with other Republican candidates for office. A couple of them had run for very high seats. I said, hey, this is really interesting because I wasn't expecting to see as many Black people here. And they said, why wouldn't you expect to see Black people that are Republicans? And I said, well, when I would go over to the Democratic, minglers, they would always act like, hey, there were no Black Republicans. That's just the way it is. And they said, oh, but I bet you at the Democratic meet and greets also everybody was young. And I said, yeah, of course, everybody was like college age and are just turned 18. And they said, because as you grow, your views become more conservative. And so that's why they have to pump such an agenda in getting new voters, because as you grow, you get wiser and you get more conservative and more disciplined in saying, hey, this is what I need to do myself, as opposed to saying, hey, this is what a system can do for me. So Darius, I don't think that you're in a correct position personally to speak for someone that grew up without the things that you have. This is a great trick that the Democratic Party continues to put forward, which is saying, hey, we have got to be the spokesperson for the people that can't speak for themselves. Well, let me tell you, like I said, I just came from South Carolina, and a tree just fell on this lady's mobile home, and she said it without a doubt. She couldn't wait to get to the polls to vote for Donald Trump. So, when you're talking about people from all particular walks of life are still making that decision, what is going to be best for them, I suggest you do the same. And I definitely commend Lou Major what he said, that maybe there are some specific things within the Democratic Party as well as within Biden policy that makes you think, hey, this is going to be a great president that serves for me. But I think that ultimately, when we're looking at a collective and we're looking at the quality of life that's affected directly for those of us that have families that have face some very major adult issues, I don't think I will ever. It would take a real miracle for me to say, hey, let me revert back to the Democratic Party. I think that where I am now is like growing up in my thinking.
Actually, no, wait, Darius, let me ask you something, because you seem like a genuinely smart guy. So Darius, I want you to understand that I'm not here to ridicule you. I'm actually genuinely in this case on your side.
I can take the critique. I got no problem. I like the critique.
I don't really.
Yeah, go ahead. Say your point.
Darius, just calm down. I want you to walk with me for a second, okay? I want you to tell me, what do you think would help a person more, or a community of people more? So let's say you got a part of town, we'll call it Johnstown. Everybody there has a high school diploma or less. They're pretty unskilled laborers. There's about 1,000 of them. Okay. Now, and there's Joe. On the other side, there's Johnstown, and they run a factory. So they hire the people from the other side to come work that factory. Now, right now, they just got to pay $8 an hour. So because they got to pay $8 an hour, they're pretty much able to go ahead and hire about 700 or 800 people. Now, watch this. Watch. Now, they go ahead and they hire 800 people. So now there's only 200 people in that side of town who don't have a job. And of course, some of them, they end up working on other things. Some of them end up becoming hell raisers because they ain't got nothing else to do. But it is what it is. Now, they're getting paid $8 an hour. That means every single week they're getting paid $320 a week, assuming a 4-week month. Okay, that means that person is making $1,260 a month. Now, I want you to walk with me here, Darius. What would you think would help those people making $1,260 a month? You could remove / legislation, meaning less government regulation, in, for example, construction and how houses are built, which means that the real estate developers on the other side are therefore able to build cheaper houses. So now they're able to go ahead with that same 1260. They could now maybe buy a house for $20,000 and maybe have a $500 a month mortgage, or rent a place or something to that effect, because the cost of building a house is so lower because there's less government regulation. Now, on the flip side, with the less government regulation, there's going to be some people who's going to cut corners. So the houses may not be the best quality, but they're affordable, so a person can buy it. And then that government there keeps taxes very low. So out of that $1,260 that person is making, he gets to take home $1,200 to his family. So he's making $1,200. When he take home pay, he's able to pay $400 or $500 and own a little house for him and his family. Groceries are pretty cheap because there's very little regulation in general. So there's not the additional taxes and costs. So he can go ahead and put food on the table. At the end of the month, he doesn't have anything left, but at least he's got a house. He makes $1,200. That's what he's got. And 800 out of 1,000 people of his part of town, they got a job working at the factory because the factory can hire that many people, right? So that's one scenario. The other scenario is the government comes in and says, these two people are not making enough money. We need to go ahead and pay them a living wage, you see. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to force the factory to increase their wages to $15 an hour. So they go to the factory and they say, you got to now pay them $15 an hour. Well, here's the problem with the factory. If you've got to pay them $15 an hour, they can't hire as many people. So now instead of hiring 800 people, now they're just going to hire 400 people. So that means 600 people don't have a job. Okay? Now let's go ahead and focus on the people who do have jobs. But those 400 who do have jobs, they're making a hell of a lot more money. But by the way, though, we've got to increase taxes. Of course, we got to taxes, right? Because we need more social programs. So now, he's making $600 a week now, which means his pay goes to $600 a week. That's $2,400 a month. But now he's got to pay substantially more taxes. And so now his take home, even though he's making more, is like $1,500 a month. So he's got a $300 raise. But here's the thing. He's got now when it comes to building houses, there's tons of legislation in place. Well, you got to have this zoning permit. You got to get this permit. You got to use this type of wood because, these houses, they got to be at a certain standard. You got to do this type of septic. So now the cost of building a house, now you can't get that $20,000 house anymore. They can no longer build that type of house. It's too expensive to build due to all the legislation. So the cheapest houses now that's available is now $80,000. Now, remember, after taxes, he's gotten a $300 raise. But guess what? He goes from being able to buy a house to not being able to buy a house at all. His part of town goes from 80% employment to just 40% employment, which means a substantial spike in what? Crime. So his neighborhood becomes less safe. He has less ownership, all for a $300 raise. Now, of course, now these people need more help. So then that same government says, oh, you need help. So now we're going to go ahead and give you food stamps, food assistance. We're going to also go ahead and give you Section 8 housing so that we could help you with those houses. So now what you had once had a community where 80% of the people were working, they were getting by, they had their own houses, they had their own things. To now a community where 40% is working, 60% is not working, and has become dependent on government benefits. Which one of those two scenarios is better for that community, Darius?
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, he asked you the question.
Okay, so first of all, so if we're looking strictly from an idealistic perspective, no mistake, it would be the first one. However, let me respond because this has to be factored in. You haven't factored the fact that those business owners, the people who run the factories, are literally making 300 to 1 CEO or business owner to employee ratio. So you have a situation where you have the business owners who are not running the factories, who are not out in the mill, who are not out doing the construction, literally getting paid millions of dollars per hour per day. And then you have the people who are working there barely able to get any money. If you were to tax those CEOs, those major business owners who are making all of the money, that money gets trickled down. And so that those people are able to spend that money, because the fact that you don't have people that redistribution of wealth, which would disproportionately benefit Black people, because a lot of us, we are in low income jobs, low wage jobs, and therefore we will be able to spend more money. That allows for more of it to be regenerated back in. But if you have a situation where you hoard all of that wealth, those business owners have all that money, you give them tax breaks, they're just going to buy back stocks, their own stocks, because they're still making record profits from that. And as a result, you don't have development in infrastructure, you don't have development in roads, and you're going to have high crime. If you look at the cities that have the major crime rate, yes, they also, some of them are democratic cities, but they also have high income inequality. You talked about, yes, you have high income inequality. So California, even though California, so even California, okay, so you guys live in California, you got.
No, see,
Darius, Brandon, trust me. Darius, I wanna show you something. If you notice, you said something very important. You said all of the areas where there's high crime, there's high income inequality, but you also forgot to mention the fact that the places with the highest wealth inequality in the country are all democratic states. And the reason for that, by the way, Darius, is for the actual example that I just pointed out. Because what you do is you raise, you let's say when you increase minimum wage, what you do is you make the producers of the society, the people who own the factories, what they then do is they look for ways to have less labor. When you increase taxes on them, what they then turn around and do is they pass on those extra costs to them onto the consumer by raising the price of their goods. So when you're taxing them heavily, what you're actually doing is you're creating a regressive tax against the poor, because the people who end up really feeling the brunt of it are the poor, because their prices go up.
Hey,
and hold up, Brandon.
Can I push back?
No, Darius. What I'm saying to you is not a debatable issue, because that is hardcore economic fact. And the result leads to, as you point out, huge, massive income inequality, because the poor end up in a dependent state, which means which are most, and you would say the disproportionate percentage of poor people happen to be people of color or Black people, whatever you want to use nowadays. So that means Black people end up getting trapped in a cycle of poverty because of the fact that they end up in a system where their costs are constantly going up. Their taxes, they get taxed heavily on the little that they make. There's less jobs to go around because the cost of hiring an employee is so high. The cost of housing is outrageous because there's so much regulation around building housing that there is no money in making making housing that's affordable housing. And so what ends up happening is you get a lot of Black people who could never acquire wealth. Let me explain something to you, Darius. Wealth is not acquired by spending. Wealth is acquired by the acquisition of an appreciating asset. So if you have a society where if I make at $1,200 a month, I can get myself a little tiny house. It's not the most beautiful house in the world, but it's mine. And I could work on it little by little, year after year, and I could accumulate some wealth working as an unskilled guy at Walmart. Versus a place where I can't buy that house at all. And I'm getting taxed out of the wazoo, and everything costs more because of the fact that those taxes get passed on. And thus you see California has a homelessness crisis, and you see Massachusetts has where the average Black person is worth $8 and the average white person is worth $170. That's not the case in these red states. Where you're going to find the wealthiest Black people are in red states.
Hold on,
wait. Can I respond?
Wait.
The wealthiest Black communities are in Maryland and New York.
Darius, hold on. I live in a blue state that has been.
Hey, y'all gonna know this. I do.
I live in California, and what Lou Major is saying is 100% right. And I'm gonna give you two examples. When I was young, there used to be a Toyota manufacturing plant in North Long Beach. California did what it always does, try to come at the corporation, raising taxes on them for doing what they do. And they tried to raise taxes on McDonnell Douglas. Now it's called Boeing. What Boeing ended up doing was, instead of, oh, we're going to fix everybody's life and just charge the CEOs more, is Boeing just moved most of their operation out of California. Toyota moved their total operation out of California to Texas. So when you talk about taxing CEOs and people who create this, you have to understand something, Darius. You've never ran a business. You never wrote a check for nobody to feed their family. When someone starts a business, that is an honorable thing. You have been trained to look at business creators as the evil dudes upstairs in the boardroom. What you don't understand is those dudes don't have to open no business. They don't have to give you no damn job. They don't got to do nothing. They're taking a calculated risk, which then ends up giving you the means to feed your family. So when you talk about just tax them, just tax them, just tax them, you just don't understand something.
Facts. Yes, I ran a teen clean corporation in Florida, and let me tell you, the biggest pushback came from parents of teens that I was employing.
No job for their kids to get work. They don't create nothing.
Come on. Because they wanted to still go to their turkey drives. They wanted to still go to their Christmas tree giveaways. But I'm employing their sons and daughters with the job.
You could say, oh, yeah, when you tax the CEOs, it creates all this wealth. And it doesn't. What the CEO then does is say, look, because I always say this quote, Dinus, successful people look around for the circumstances they desire. And if they can't find them, they create them, right? So the business owner looks around for the circumstances he desires so he can make his business successful. Soon as he sees that the policies being adopted by the state government no longer are conducive to the growth of his business, he leaves. And I live in California, and you live in North Carolina, and I live in a state where all the businesses left because all these ridiculous ass taxes and regulations. When they left, so many people lost their jobs. McDonnell Douglas, hundreds of people lost their jobs. Toyota, thousands of people lost their jobs. So you can talk about what they're going to do in an idealistic world, but the reality is this: until you start creating jobs, you're not going to understand that in order to create jobs, you need to have flexibility to do what you got to do. Everybody in America in these blue states want a good job, but everybody also wants to punish the job creator for creating the job that they work. That's the way that works. And that's what Lou Major's trying to explain to you. Once you have a family, you buy a house, you got to support your family, all that stuff. You're going to say, I don't want to pay more taxes because my kids have needs. When you're in college with no responsibility, raise the taxes, raise the taxes. You can raise taxes till kingdom come. But when you raise taxes on me. I do things in Africa. I fight for my people. I can't do as much if I have to pay more money to the white man. So why do you keep on promoting a position where the white man raises taxes on your own brothers, which prevents them from doing things for people like you, me, Omega, Dinus, and Luke? You got to understand the way you're connected and understand it's a full circle. Y'all think it's just some type of like, I do this, and then it impacts some mysterious person that I've never met. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. Look at Detroit. The government bought the auto industry in Detroit. They took over. When they took over, they put a bunch of regulations on the auto industry. When they finally gave back the industry to the people who created the industry, right, which is crazy, there was so much regulation, all those companies just left Detroit. And that directly resulted in the decline of Detroit into what it is today. So did the government putting all the new regulations and taxes on those industries help Detroit, or did it hurt Detroit? The proof is in the pudding, bro. Go to California, go to Detroit, get out of your bubble where you exist, and go see how raising taxes on corporations and stuff negatively impacts the society or the people who live in the state where those corporations are. And then you'll see it's not all roses like you just
Darius, let me
can I respond? Can I answer, please? Can I please?
No, hold on. We got to take a commercial break. Everybody, make sure you go to dynastymirror.com. Again, go to dynastymirror.com. Like, share, and subscribe as well. Like, share, subscribe. Get your books, everyone. And go to dynastymirror.com. Grab all your books and your merchandise. Tour April 21st to the 30th. We are going to Sierra Leone. So come and join us again. Tour April 21st to the 30th. We're going to Sierra Leone. Come and join us. But more important, guys, hit that like button. Again, hit the like button. If you're watching this, hit that like button. Oh, go ahead, Darius. Darius.
Yes, there's a couple points I would like to say. The last point, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Am I going out?
No, go ahead, Darius. Go.
Hold on. Let me. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was connected. Brandon, when it comes to the bubble, when you're talking about bubble, I have seen that with my own eyes when I went to go study abroad. When I went to go study abroad in South Africa, and I saw the major disparities in wealth and how income inequality plays a factor, and how when you don't tax and redistribute that wealth, it's going to have a major problem. And that affects here in America. That affects in America too. It affects the same thing. The same
South
thing
America doesn't have a middle class. I'm talking about in America where there's a robust middle class. It's not the same. I'm talking
the middle class is declining. More people in America are now being slid into poverty as the top 1% are getting richer, the top 10% are getting richer, and the bottom 9 are getting poorer. So that plays a factor.
Why?
Why? It's simple. Because you have the rich hoarding up all the wealth. And when the rich hoard up all the wealth, we can apply. No, we can.
And you know what? And
Brandon,
that's also a bad example.
Let me finish.
Listen.
Can I please finish? No, I'm almost finished.
What's sad about that?
Let him finish. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's say you want to start a business. Let's say you start a business. Okay. Let's say, like you guys said, you were business owners, right? And let's say your company grew a massive following and a huge share of the market. Okay, well, if you don't have any regulations or any laws, what stops a major multinational corporation from cutting you out of competition? What are you going to do with all those black businesses in the 1990s? You guys were up when they were being bought up, they were being sold, they couldn't compete. It's because when you don't have those regulations, it creates oligopolies and monopolies, and you have a situation where there are small businesses that do want to be able to grow, but they can't because they don't have the resources, because all of that is hoarded within the top 10, top 1%. And so the reason why we have that viewpoint of the business owners is because you're worth billions of dollars. Mind you, we are the ones who are working. It's not you, the one who's designing the building, the one who is designing the load, because I do civil engineering and I do construction and physics. You're not the one who are sitting there designing the building, doing the structural analysis, doing the fluid mechanics. You're not the one who are out there doing that stuff. You are the owner. You just have to be the owner. That is like literally me owning a property or a person. And
how many jobs have you had? You have a lot of theoretical knowledge, but you have very little applicable knowledge. You're in civil engineering. Do you realize that you're going to go sit in a cubicle for the rest of your life? You don't even think that, but that's what you're going to do. Because I know plenty of civil engineers. You think you're going to be out on the in the field drawing up blueprint? No, you're not. You're going to be in a cubicle sending emails to foremen on construction sites who are actually doing the work. And those foremen are going to say, "We can't do this for this amount." And you're going to say, "But why?"
Actually, I can choose. I can choose whether I want to do the engineering or the construction part. They literally asked me, do you want to be in the field engineer, the construction, actual building, or do you want the design?
No, listen, Mexicans are going to do the building. You're going to be in there filling out, handling emails. Trust me on this one. You don't understand the plight of a person who really works. At the end of the day, Darius, all workers rather have a job than have the idealistic version of a job. They're like, look, I need to make money.
Absolutely.
You're
hitting on the head. And Darius, if you try to go and work construction with the degrees that you have, you will be hated. You will be hated by the people that you have to, that are in that cubicle, and you'll be hated by the people in the construction because they don't want to see you coming. They do not see you as an ally, brother. They want you to stay in your field. They want you to stay in the house. They don't want you coming out to that field telling them how to do their job.
Let me go ahead. Darius, let me throw some ideas at you, and I want you to tell me what you think about those things. Okay. First things first, Darius. How do you feel about, say, abortion? How do you feel about abortion? Just be quick, please. I just want to ask you something.
I'm
How do you feel about?
I believe a woman should have the right to control her body.
Okay. Okay. Now, we'll start with that. How does a woman's ability to choose, or the woman's ability to, I guess, not allow her child coming into the world, how does that help Black people?
No, just ask him. Do you have any children? That's the
question.
No,
we know he doesn't have any children. That's the point. No. There's a point here. How does a woman's ability to abort her child, how does that help Black people as a whole, collectively? Because I tell you what, I can tell you that right now what's happening is Black children are being aborted at a clip of 1,000 abortions a day. Right? We've reduced the Black population just from abortion by something like 25 million children since 1978.
No, 67 million.
I'm sorry, 67 million. So if there's 46 million Black people right now, that means we've killed more Black people before they ever came out of the womb than we have in existence. Now imagine if we had 67 million Black people in America, which would probably be more, but just we would outnumber white. How much political power would the Black populace have?
Did you say 60? Did you say, hold on, wait, correction. Did you say 60 million? No, that it was about in between 10 to 20, and that was between the years 1970 and 2010. That's an inaccurate assessment.
You know what? I'll take that. Let's take 20 million. That means 20 million Black people have never got a chance to get out of their mother's womb.
No, Luke, that means those people would have had billions of people on top of that. Each one of those people would have multiple children. We would outnumber whites in this country exponentially.
But Darius, you're saying you're pro-choice. Again, how is killing off 20 million people of your own populace before they ever get out of the womb, how does that help Black people?
My first thing is when you make abortion illegal and don't have at least the forced pregnancy, which means that more women are more likely to go into poverty. That is a woman who literally has forced pregnancy or is unprepared to have a child, more likely to have that mother to be in poverty, and that child is more likely to grow up malnourished. It's more likely to have trouble in development early childhood. It's more likely to be raised in a low-income area. So my point is, you're going to bring in more people, and since you don't have an increase in your wages per capita, your population is increasing faster than your GDP per capita. So you're bringing more people into poverty. So then we're going to have even more crime and more violence. If you would have a situation where you actually have an increase in income and you have family planning,
stop for a moment. Stop and think about what
Black people because you would have family.
Darius, please. I know you're being very passionate here, but I need you to stop for a moment and think about what you just said. Do you understand that statement is the justification that Margaret Sanger was using to justify her ideology of the annihilation of the Black race? By saying that if we allow Black people to have too many kids, there's going to be more poor Black people, and thus they're going to create more crime and terrorize the white populace. And so therefore, we must minimize their population. Do you understand that you are literally saying the same talking points of a person who created the entire Planned Parenthood with the distinct goal of killing Black people? Do you understand you're justifying that person's arguments? Do you understand what you're saying, Darius?
Luke,
but that was not even. And first of all, okay, can I respond to that? First of all, you're talking about Margaret Sanger said that actually that was made by Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. for Margaret Sanger, Booker T. Washington made the exact same argument. So if you're going to hold Margaret Sanger to that, then all the self-help Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, all the major black, you have to hold them. They actually said that. So no,
again,
because
you're
I'm
being
making the
passionate.
exact same argument that they made.
No, what
I'm
Booker
making the
T.
same. So
Washington,
what's the difference between Margaret Sanger saying it and Booker T. Washington
I
saying
think
it?
that
What's
it's
the
just
difference?
credible. I think it's credible to. I think it's worth crediting that to Margaret Sanger because that is someone that Hillary Clinton says she looked up to. And we also want to talk about the Hillary Clinton campaign, Planned Parenthood giving the biggest contribution that they've ever given to any candidate to the Hillary Clinton campaign. So I think that it goes without saying that's why that's important.
If the objective is to prevent poor people from having babies, which is going to make them more poor, which I don't even understand that, why don't they just have campaigns where people use condoms, birth controls, contraceptions? Hey, you can go down the street and pick up a morning after pill for scot-free, and they have one in every liquor store. You just go ask for one and they give it to you, right? That's not the case. You can say Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois, but here's the thing: they didn't.
No. You can't let him say that, Darius. Brennan, you can't let him say that because that is so false. You can't let people who are listening to this walk away believing that was true. Booker T. Washington was adamantly against birth control, and what he believed is that what was necessary within the black community was not birth control, was that black people needed to focus on entrepreneurship. He was the one who had the term of go to school, learn a trade, and start a business. So his belief was that black people should focus on entrepreneurship and internal economic growth. He never had a problem with black people having lots of kids. Lots of kids are good, especially if you're an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneurial community is inherently in the interest of that community to have more children. Because if you're entrepreneurial and you have large families, then you could put your own kids to work. If you're growing your own food, if you run your own shops. So the reality is entrepreneurialism in an entrepreneurial community incentivizes more children, not less.
Why you look at Joe Biden.
Lou Major, that would be good if you lived in a primary subsistent agricultural economy. Once you live in an industrialized, modernized economy, you have to factor in childcare. And as a result, that becomes much of a burden more than it is an asset.
You've never lived in these communities. Hold on, Lou. Hold on. Darius, you've never lived in these communities. You're speaking of these communities like a white person who never been to them. You have to.
I was going to ask the same. I was going to ask Darius, have you ever maybe volunteered with an Operation Rescue? Because I have. I can go over some statistics with you about the women that are polled. We can go over what the average abortion costs. Let me tell you, the people coming in there paying for abortions, and they have to pay them full out. Usually, these are not insurance covered type of situations. They aren't poor. They aren't poor, and they're not at risk of. They're just making a decision because it may not be convenient at that certain time. But these are the people that are making this decision not to prevent themselves from being poor, is to prevent a responsibility. And I say that with all seriousness, with all I'm not shaming or looking down on anybody, but just with transparency. It's a decision that I've made, and it wasn't because I was going to be poor. It was because it was not convenient. So I think that we have to be very honest when we're looking at this. I would suggest that you really, and I know that you're young, and as Blue Major said, I can hear your passion, but I definitely think you have got to really take accountability, or to account rather into some of your thinking, full prism perspective, I call it. Look at it from all different angles, because you're looking at it from a very acute angle right now. And it just does not factor in what's going on in a whole lot of other people that are members of this collective.
Courtney,
what's happening?
Dynast, let me
Courtney,
just say
I understand all of your points. Listen, I'm not. I'm not denying your points. I can understand all of your points. I understand. Yes, ideally, you should not want to abort a child, that you should want to take care of a child, that you would want to develop a child. Yes, you should want to have a family. You want to grow. Yes, I can understand that. I'm not saying I don't understand it. I'm just saying from my personal perspective and from seeing what I've seen, like I said, I've only been here for 21 years, so y'all might have way more. I'm not here to critique that.
20 years on
what I'm saying is I don't.
20 years over here.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys definitely have been down the road. But what I'm saying is, for me, is I don't think that I should be able to tell a woman strictly you can or control a woman's body. Now, you may not feel that way, Courtney. You may not feel that way. You might be
Actually, you know
pro-life,
what, Darius? Let me ask you a
and that
question
is your
for you.
perspective.
Quick question. No, real quick.
Wait,
Oh, hold on. Go ahead, Brandon.
Darius, let
Real
me
quick.
get the top.
Brandon, you got a
Let
minute. Hold
me
on.
get the top. Please, let me get the top.
No, Lou,
Wait a minute.
Lou, chill out.
Look,
Brandon,
everybody's
you got 1 minute. Brandon, you got 1 minute. You got 1 minute, Brandon. You got 1 minute.
Let me just, because I want to relate this back to the topic, man. We getting off topic.
You got 1 minute.
What I want to ask you, Darius, is this. So, giving the women the right to choose, which is fine, but why do people who didn't make the babies got to pay for them to abort the babies? That's one question, right? If you made it, you should pay to abort it. That's what the issue is. Regular taxpayers don't want to pay for somebody to have 16 abortions, which I know a girl who did that. Now, what I'm telling you is this, Darius. Black people, if you have babies, you're going to be in poverty forever. Ooh, scary.
Yeah.
Ooh, scary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then what are we going to do? In the same impoverished community where we can't have no babies, where our people, Darius, you can't have a baby. Because if you do, you're going to get slid down into poverty. But in that same community, Joe Biden, in his first 100 days as president, is going to release 11 million immigrants into that community. The community can't sustain no more black babies, but it can sustain 11 million new citizens in that community. See, the ends don't justify the means. Your explanation, all you're doing is telling black people, Negro, you can't reproduce, but because your community can't handle it. But we can stuff 11 million more immigrants into your community. Why can't we stuff the community with our own black babies? So your argument is invalid because they lie to you and tell you danger, 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 but then they always find room for just a few more every couple of years, a few more million immigrants, a few more million immigrants. And that's why they tell you that. They don't want you to have kids because they want to bring in grown illegal adults. And they don't want your kids to compete with them for jobs so they can keep paying them $2 an hour. That argument doesn't
Come on. Make it make sense.
And Darius, let me ask you this.
Okay.
No, Darius, hold up.
Can I answer Brandon's point real quick?
Go ahead, Darius.
The reason why they bring in immigrants is you're talking about black people. Okay, strictly our community. Our community has a higher fertility rate than whites or Asians. But nationally, if you look across America, it's below the replacement level. You need to have at the bare minimum 2 children. If it's below 2 children, 1.8, 1.5, even if you start having more children, your population is going to decline because the older exceeds the younger, and it's not going to be able to replace itself in time. So the economy is going to stun.
He just discredited his own argument. Why is our thing not big enough?
No, I'm proving my point. So
why is our community not replacing itself, Darius? You just said it's not, so they got to bring in immigrants. Why isn't it? Why isn't it? Tell me why. Because there's an abortion clinic.
Poverty. So you don't.
That's why.
Okay, so Darius, I need you to honestly, Darius,
actually, it's been proven. It's been proven.
Engineering. As an engineer, start just doing the numbers here, man. Just start thinking, please. Because just think about what you just said. You just said that you believe in a woman's right to choose. That you yourself have said that we have lost 20 million black people because of, as you just said, poverty. We would be in poverty. But yet you think it's a good idea to bring in 11 million more people into the same community that you're saying could not go ahead and have at least half of the 20 million kids that they killed. That's the 11 million right there. We could have had 11 million more black people. If our community can take 11 million immigrants, why the hell couldn't it have taken 11 million of its own kind? And then Darius, here's another thing. Okay, you're saying it's a woman's right to choose. If she gets pregnant, it's her right to choose. So then would you say then if that's the case, should a man have the right to choose? Should he be able to say, I don't want to be a father, so I'm not going to be part of this child's life regardless of what you decide? Should a man have that right? Because if you don't believe that a man does have that right, then you can't tell me that you believe that a woman should have that right. Because you're saying that a woman should have an extra right that a man doesn't have just because she's a woman. That doesn't make any sense.
Why do we have to pay for it?
Women with elevated status.
Let Darius talk next.
Why do we have to pay for it? That's the question.
Okay, go ahead, Darius. Hold on. Go ahead, Darius.
So, hold on, my bad. When you talk about Planned Parenthood, which is the primary one, they provide other healthcare services. So those other healthcare services.
There. I want to hear the. You were just.
And that was actually debunked. That was actually debunked. I don't know if you saw the movie Unplanned, but that was debunked by one of the highest ranking officials of in Texas with abortions, with the movie that was with Abby. That the things that they said that they were doing as far as with other medical research, it was all clouded. It was all clouded. You know, that's just not true, Darius. Like I said, I think I hear you, and I honestly know you mean well. I can feel it, actually, the sincerity. But it just, as Lou Major said, as Brandon is saying, the numbers won't show it. They won't. If you just did a little research in these areas, the statistics aren't there. And I'm saying even beyond that, go BTB, as I always say, go beyond the boards. Actually go and serve in some of these same communities that you think can have it so bad. What you'll find also is that they spend just as much as someone making 3 times as much as them. The buying power is still there. It's a condition of consumerism as well. So, you know, what we really need is a re-education on prioritizing things, but the Democratic Party is not the savior, and they are not the saving grace with leading us into more of an understanding of how to build up that type of wealth and legacy. That's just not what their mission is in a totality. And I can definitely tell you personal experience. I thought that way for a long time. You know, I thought that way for a long time, that the Democrats had this thing just totally locked down with being for the people, all that good stuff. It's just the statistics, as they always say, keep living. Do some research there in those areas, and you'll see that just the statistics don't match up. They don't match up.
Darius,
no, Brandon, hold on, Brandon. I want Darius to respond. Darius, Jose, hold on, bro. Hold on, Jose. Hold on, man. All right, Darius, I want you to speak on the illegal immigration part, because you were going into that. I want to hear that. Go ahead, Darius.
Yeah, so what I was saying about that part, the reason why they would encourage immigration to come is because once they're still having kids, but not at the rapid rate. And there's a multitude of factors. Yes, but you also have to factor in poverty. You have to factor in they may not be able to take care of a kid. And so because they don't have those means, it's going to be difficult for them to raise these children, and it could end up being worse off for them. So what they'd rather do, especially multinational corporations, is bring immigrants in. So for example, why do you think major companies want to bring illegal immigrants in? Why do major companies want to bring illegal immigrants in? Can you answer that question? Why do major companies?
Cheap labor.
Okay, then. So if we raise the cost for average workers to work, we wouldn't need them, right? We wouldn't need them, right? If we raise
but if a person owns a business, it's just kind of, you know, I mean, it is what it is. You know, excuse me, I'm from Philly, so I'm always going to throw that in there, but it just is what it is. If I'm owning a company and I know that somebody can do just as efficient work, and they're going to pay a little, they're going to demand a little less than, you're going to hire them. You're going to hire them. You're going to complain, but you're still going to hire them. And so I think that, you know, we have to be, again, I think with a lot of these issues, we need that transparency, we need that honesty, and we need that accountability. But it still has to be there, Darius. Raising that is not going to help someone say, okay, now I'm going to pay everybody more. No, they're just going to look at who they can pay less. It's just the way it is.
Darius, I have a question for you. All that has been said, you got some good defenses for the Democrats. How does any of what you said actually help Black people? That's what I need you to connect. You defended immigrants. You defended people having abortions.
Climate change.
How does any of this help Black people? You got to tie back in, because I tied my argument in to helping Black people before.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So since most Black people are in low-wage jobs, increasing the minimum wage would allow them to increase their cost of living, which would allow for them to have more opportunity to decide their own destiny, have more self-determination, allowing a woman to have access to choose, will allow her to have proper family planning, allow for her to determine her own destiny, as well as with her husband and in communication. The environment, by making sure by having clean air and access to renewable energy, would allow for Black people to enter into the industry, wind, solar, thermal, and also lead to less diseases, lung cancer, Black lung from all the fossil fuels that are inhabited. These all go back into the Black community, and decreasing the wealth gap between the rich and poor, since Black people are disproportionately poor and low income and in poverty, would allow for Black people to go upscale into the middle class, considering the fact that we only have $8 of wealth and we need as much assistance as possible, knowing that we're going up against multinational corporations and the fact that we're being gentrified from these big developers, closing those opportunity zones so that these corporations don't have loopholes, taxing the top 1%, top 10%, because they have over $1 trillion in assets, and you can therefore. No, I'm listing everything. You said list everything. I'm listing everything. I'm listing everything.
Yeah, he's rallying them off, but again, you know.
Let him finish. Let him please.
But Brandon, bro, the most when it comes to income inequality is all in democratic cities. So I'm like, but hold on, Darius rattling all this stuff.
I will address this. Okay, I will address the people within the Democratic Party. Okay, I will address this. Okay, I will address within the Democratic because I was in the Democratic Party.
Address this. I live in a state called California. 90% of the stuff that you've listed has already been implemented. We got the strictest environmentalist regulations. We've taxed the corporations as hard as they can be taxed, and we're trying to tax them more to the point where they left. Now, what I want you to do, Darius, is tell me how. Now, you name for me. You can Google it. How many wealthy Black communities exist in California? Did Black communities grow?
One Inglewood.
Did Black communities?
Hold on.
No, by income. We're talking about by income. If you're talking about by a California standards, Inglewood is not. But I'm talking about in terms of Black community, like overall, like Inglewood, Maryland, Georgia. I'm not talking about relative to white Californians. I'm talking about strictly if you look at Black communities.
Hey, let me get a question in. Let me get a question. Wait, Brandon, give me a second.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Darius, all I'm asking you is this. Did Black people build stronger, healthier communities in California, or did they all leave and move to places like Texas
and Atlanta?
See, that's the point. You can say all that, but the ground zero of liberal politics, California, where they implemented all the stuff you're talking about, at the end of the day, all it did was drove Black people out of the state. So you keep saying that's going to help us, but the proof, the pudding, says that really it's going to actually disenfranchise Black people and make them run away to red states. That's why Texas is a toss-up right now, because you got all the liberal Blacks who have ran away from liberal California because they can't live here anymore. They ran to Texas, but they're still voting liberal policies, which are going to destroy Texas like it destroyed California. And it already happened in Nevada, right? So you explain to me, if these things are going to help the Black community, why don't they help the Black community in California?
Wait, Darius, I do have a quick question, and I think this will be much easier.
I can't speak on the issue of California. Okay,
Darius, I got one for you.
And plus, people.
Okay, Darius, this is
can I also say something too? Black people only make up less than like what 6.
All right, Darius, let me get this out. Which one do you think would be better? I was
going to let you speak, so.
I know. Darius, which do you think would be better? You said Black people are primarily low-skilled workers. Let's say we buy that. Which do you think would be better for a community of low-skilled workers? Okay? No minimum wage, but everyone has a job. So that means no minimum wage for a person. Whatever a person is willing to take is what they'll get paid. But that means that everybody has a job. Or a $15 an hour minimum wage, but only half of that community has a job. Which one do you think is better for that community?
In your idealistic scenario, it'll be the first one. In strictly your scenario. In your scenario, yes.
Okay, guys, we're not going nowhere with this. Let me bring somebody up. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm about to go off. I just want to get my point.
Go ahead, Jose.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
We're good.
Hey, peace,
Yeah,
Jose.
I'm also in North Carolina. I, I guess like what was frustrating me, you guys having like a circular conversation. In essence,
Right.
you're arguing about the same
I
slave
said
master.
that.
You got the
Yeah,
right
30
wing,
minutes ago.
the left
Circular.
wing of the same white supremacist bird. So I see why Brendan is voting for Donald Trump because he has a valid reason. He has a policy topic that he wants to address. So I think we should focus on policies and what the hell are we going to get out of this rather than having these circular conversations about, you know, this group or that group. So I went to North Carolina A&T, retired military officer about 4 years ago. And so a lot of that stuff I see, like, you know, been over all over the world. Iraq, see that debacle, how we like destroy the whole country and all that stuff. So we can go into that stuff. But if you're talking about the black community, I think like rather than playing checkers, we need to stop playing chess. So meaning we go to vote, we go do all this other stuff, but there's another aspect of like this thing that we don't do. We have no black lobbying groups that actually go to the politicians and get them to do what the hell. So we're voting for crumbs at the table, but where the real policies are being made, where the money and all the wealth of the empire that's being gathered over the world is being put at the table where people get see that is the lobbyists, like APAC. Like you're gonna go vote. If you look
Absolutely.
at Jewish community,
Absolutely.
Asians, everybody else, they'll go vote only when it's in their interest. The rest of the time, they're electing officials, people like Brandon, Lou Major, yourself, and Courtney, and Amir. If you want to run, they elect them to go lobby the politicians, and they say, "Hey, look, we're gonna put you in office, but here's what you're gonna do for us." That's the aspect of what we're doing. We keep like even in the civil rights movement, if you look at it, they didn't go vote; they lobbied, and then they were like, "Hey, you don't give us what we want, we will pay and put other people in office to replace you." So to me, it's like that Donald Trump, Biden, both are racist in their policy and some of this other stuff. I don't care. What I'm looking at is like, hey, look, what policies are you putting into place? So right now, I didn't vote for either one of them because, again, I have friends and family that are affected by Biden's 94 crime bill, and also I've seen things that Republicans have put into place that I don't quite agree with. So I didn't vote for either one.
However, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Jose. So this is where I'm talking about black men, and we have a lot of hypocrisy in our community. You have friends who were impacted by Joe Biden's 94 crime bill, right? Maybe they're in jail or they weren't. So we all do. Every black person knows somebody in jail based on stuff in 1996, 1998, 1999. This impacts us as a whole nation of people inside the United States.
Agree.
But the guy who's actually taking steps to reverse that, we're like, I don't agree with Republican policies. So the people we know who got impacted ain't gonna get out of jail. See, you just said we need to focus on policies. You need to say it's two wings of the same bird. You know, Negro talking points, that's fine. But
it's not Negro talking points, it's a truth.
No, listen, wait a minute. But then you say that I'm not gonna vote for these policies because of these mysterious things that the Republicans have done that I dislike.
What mysterious things is that? What are you talking about? What's mysterious? Okay, as a business owner, I actually have a business. For example,
about the black people affected by
bill. That's I hear you. Listen, that's what I'm saying. I said that's your prerogative about voting for people. Hold on, stop cutting me off. Okay. Like I waited for you to talk. Don't cut me off. That's kind of rude. So, okay, I got it. So you're talking about Trump, the First Step Act. It is limited. So if you were talking about, I got it. It's more than the Democrats are doing. I'll give you that. And I actually, in that regards, I actually think Trump has done a better job than the Democrats. So for that part, I commend him in that regards about that. So for me, some of the things that I don't agree with, if you look at it in terms of businesses, and you talk about actually furnishing business, if you look at both parties right now, like voted for the CARES Act, systematically, if you look at specifically what Trump told the Treasury Department and some of these banks to only fund the top corporations and all that stuff. Which means that business like myself and a lot like yourselves, I assume y'all are business owners, also got shut out of that policy.
No, I got my money. Speak for yourself. I got my 18,000.
Well, I'm saying so you may be one of the lucky people that got that, but there were a lot of black businesses because of the policy of what the administration said they were going to put into place that didn't get that money.
Because
Jose,
I tell you what, I didn't get mine, but I did very well because of the businesses that I networked with. They absolutely looked out. I did very well.
Guys, listen. This is actually something that I actually have.
Let Brandon speak. Let Brandon speak. Let Brandon speak. Just let Brandon.
Listen, the reason why a lot of black businesses got cut out, and you have to be honest, right? Is because we don't pay attention to politics when a Democrat is not in office. We don't. So we got caught on the ass end of everything and started trying to apply after the money had already ran out. I know people who did that. But guess what? The black ambassadors, ambassadors was like, bro, your wife have a business? You need to apply for that business loan right now. It was at the beginning. So I applied and we got it. Then I told friends about it, and they said there's no more money. Here's the thing. That's not because it wasn't going to our people. It's because our people were on the ass end because we don't want it if it don't come from Democrats. And
okay, so you're saying that the banks actually documented that.
Can I respond? Can I say something,
can I get in on this, please? Can I please say something? Because I actually know what's going on here. One of the reasons that those numbers about this large Major go there. Wait, let me just get this out. Those percentages, those large, very misleading statistics are saying large percentages of black-owned businesses were shut out of those loans. The reason that those businesses were shut out of those loans was because though Black America has a lot of people who are on paper business owners, something like 85 or 86% of all black-owned businesses have less than 5 employees. What it is that a lot of black people, for example, let's say black people, I'm a publicist. What a lot of black people will do is they'll go off on their own, and then you'll have 1,000 black publicists. Rather than black people coming together and consolidating, instead of saying, I'm going to be my own publicist, black people need to consolidate so you have large black publishing agencies. Hold up, Jose. So a lot of black businesses simply didn't qualify. So and that number was very misleading, extremely misleading, all designed to go ahead and get a black populace who seems to have an allergic reaction to reading to actually feel outraged. A lot of black businesses didn't qualify because they were like 1, 2, or 3 person businesses.
And they hide under the table too.
Can I respond? Can I please say something, please?
Darius, do you have a business?
Can I say something, please?
Go ahead, Darius. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say was, and like I said, you guys can have your personal. I have some friends that their family members do own businesses and they have employees and they weren't able to get loans, whereas like he said, multinational corporations did. Yes, there are some black businesses that did, but 41% of black businesses, almost half of them, didn't get that opportunity or were not able to. And there were many white businesses who had more than that. So the point is, why would we bring in somebody who literally or keep somebody in Donald Trump when literally we haven't passed the stimulus check, major bailouts to big corporations, the black businesses didn't get any stimulus checks, any loans, whereas
let me meet you. There, hold on, Blue Major. Darius, do you understand what was required in order to get these loans? Darius, unmute yourself. Do you understand what was required in order to qualify for these loans? Darius, do you understand what was required?
Not exactly the specifics. Not exactly the specifics. Not exactly the specifics. Maybe certain employees, certain income. You have to have certain revenue.
Okay, I'm gonna use myself.
I'm not exactly for sure. Y'all have to educate me on that.
I'm use myself example. So number one, so it's a couple things that was required. I think what is it? So I know they were like looking at personal credit as well. I think they were looking at personal credit. They were looking at So and like Lou Major said, it's just we do a lot of business under the table that's not documented. That when you were qualifying, trying to apply for these loans, they wanted to see shit documented that went off your credit. I mean, they did all of that. So if you weren't able to provide that, you didn't get the loan.
If you don't got people who know how to work the system, Dynas, you're not getting shit. That's the reality.
Yeah.
And actually, here goes something. Here goes what nobody seems to be saying here.
I went to a tax lady who knew how to do it in a way where I could get something back. That's the difference. We think that we supposed to say, give us some money, and they supposed to just throw it out. No, you have to qualify. Most black businesses, even in California, hire employees and pay them under the table. Oh, come work today, but you're not working tomorrow. So guess what we did? We have some employees, but we also pay them. And those employees also got unemployment. See, so there's a record there. So then you can get money. You can get money to keep people on, and then those people use that like, yo, this is running out. And because Nancy Pelosi didn't want to do the second stimulus, those people are now technically unemployed.
Yeah.
Actually, hold up, guys.
The Republicans control the Senate right now, so when in terms of like passing the second stimulus bill, it's not Pelosi. That's Mitch McConnell and whatever. Yeah. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry, bro. When you look at the politics, the House passes the bill that goes to the Senate. The Senate is who actually. So, for example, Donald Trump. To me, Donald Trump, if he's serious about the policy, well, okay, I want to get the vote, and he's offering $500 million, right? So you have mentioned that, hey, he's gonna. Both of them are promising you something to do after the election. Donald Trump is president right now, and the Senate could have just gone into session and actually. So he's saying, you know what? Hey, I'm serious about this. I will. Let's just say I'll give Black America half of that money right now, today. They could have done that and passed that.
Jose, do you understand how ridiculous you sound?
No, Jose, they were able to get in Amy Coney Barrett. They were able to get in Amy Coney Barrett with no problem. So they get Amy Coney Barrett. They should be able to get a second stimulus check.
Okay, let's talk. I'm going to say two things. It's all yours.
Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish? So what I'm saying is, both parties, in some aspect, yes, you can shake your head. They're disingenuous. So what I'm talking about, you're talking about Trump. If he really was serious about, to me, the dude lies all the time. You watch this stuff, they're all liars. So my thing is, Biden is saying, hey, if you elect me, hold on a second. Okay.
I'm just putting this up. This is an article. Hope Dems for more stimulus as Democrats block the narrow GOP plans. So
put Amy Barrett in
bro. You don't understand.
Put Amy Coney Barrett in the city. They were able to get Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court, 52-48. If all Republicans voted, they would get it.
Okay, look.
Hold on, Jose. Hold on. Okay, Lou Major, break it down, Lou Major.
Okay, so two things. So we're gonna start with the two things. First of all, Jose, I'm gonna start off by the first thing, starting with the loans. For you to qualify for that loan. Now, the reason that those loans were being given out to businesses was so that those businesses could keep their employees on the payroll. So that means if you as a business don't have employees, you don't qualify for that loan. 77% of Black-owned businesses do not have on the books employees. That's why so many of them didn't qualify. And the fact that 41% didn't qualify, that means 59% of Black-owned businesses that applied got the loan. But what you also have to remember is that a lot of people, Black-owned businesses, or an overall majority of Black-owned businesses, do not qualify for the loan. That is a misleading statistic. That's the first point. Second point, you say, well, if Donald Trump is so serious, he's president right now, why doesn't he do something? Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, but hold up. He did pass the First Step Act.
Okay, that's great.
And wait, hold up.
In terms of economics.
Jose, you're cutting people off now, Jose. You're complaining about Brandon. You're cutting people off now. Go ahead, Lou Major.
No, Jose, you're saying to me, if he goes ahead, is the first president to actually speak directly to Black people and Black issues, was the first to actually put out a plan to solve Black issues, was the only person who took the contract with Black America seriously enough to adjust this plan, and then even before that, passed the First Step Act, passed legislation for opportunity zones in the Black community, as in he actually was the first president in a long time to do legislation specifically for Black people, and you're still undecided. How could you say, well, I'm not sure after all of this, so you need to go ahead and give me some money now, and then maybe I'll vote for you? At this point, he's trying to reach out to you, but he can't give you everything when up to this point, right now, Black support is still heavily Biden, despite the fact that Biden has offered Black people absolutely nothing. Nothing. Do you understand nothing? Do you understand what nothing means? That means zero, zilch, nada, nothing. Okay, so like if you're undecided after being disrespected the way you have as a Democrat by Democrats, you're still, I don't know, I'm not sure. Then you're an idiot. And why the hell would he go ahead and look for your vote? You're too stupid to know what you should vote for. I'm not talking about you, but I'm saying any Black person who would say, after all of this, I don't know, I'm not sure. Well, then I don't. At some point, people have to just say you're stupid. There's got to be a point where we stop pretending like you're not an idiot. Because if at this point you're still not sure, you have one person who has offered you nothing, bro. He wrote a piece of legislation that literally has decimated your community. He has not apologized for that. He has continued to justify why he passed that legislation. He has offered you absolutely nothing. When reparations came up, he not only ignored the question, he started talking about immigrants. He has already said he's going to give 11 million immigrants who compete directly with you for jobs citizenship. He has made it very clear he's not going to do anything for you. He has no interest in doing anything for you, and it's not even talked about reversing any of the legislation that has decimated your community. Yet you have another guy. Let's say he's a giant liar. He has given extended funding to HBCUs. He has created opportunity zones. He has put an actual offer on the table. He has let Black people out of jail. He has done passed one of the most comprehensive laws on criminal justice reform and prison reform in history. And you're still sitting there saying to me, you know what? I don't know. I ain't sure. His trade policy, do you understand that his trade policy is going to directly benefit you, Jose? Because when if he's able to bring some of that Chinese manufacturing back to stateside, who do you think is going to get those jobs?
Black folks.
Hey, look, I'm a manufacturing major, man. That manufacturing jobs are not coming back to the U.S.
Listen, I'm not saying no. Actually, no. You're actually right. Low end manufacturing jobs will never come back to the United States. But the type of manufacturing jobs that can hold up. He's right on what he said, but I'm going to go ahead and add some caveat. The type of manufacturing jobs that can come back to the United States would be what's called high efficient, high yield manufacturing. These are going to be manufacturing jobs that are going to pay $10, $15, $20, $30 an hour because of the fact they're highly specialized manufacturing jobs. If you lower the stateside taxes enough, you could actually make it more cost effective to bring that manufacturing back to the United States. Okay? So here's the thing. And so what Trump is currently doing is he is in essence forcing these companies' hands to bring back the high-end manufacturing to the United States. Now, the lower-end manufacturing never coming back, and that's okay. We don't need that back anyway. But the high-end manufacturing, we can do that, and that is going to disproportionately benefit people, Black people. And yet, the guy who's trying to do that type of trade
also, based on what policies they have in place, that they said they're committing to hire an amount of Black people.
I'll tell you, if you notice Trump's tariffs, all of them have been very specifically towards finished Chinese technological goods. That's where your high precision manufacturing is. So that type of manufacturing requires a certain degree of skill. Now, in China, you could get those skilled manufacturing workers for very low cost. Okay. However, if you lower the taxes significantly and you give certain businesses, corporations, certain tax incentives, then it's actually going to be cheaper for them to actually manufacture the good in the United States where they're primarily going to sell it. Because what currently most businesses are doing, the way it actually works is They manufacture in China, then they take the Chinese finished good that they manufacture, then they got to bring it here to the United States, and then they sell it to the U.S. consumer. If you tariff that coming in and you lower the taxes internally, then it's going to be cheaper for that corporation to go ahead and manufacture in-house, which will bring back high-paying jobs that are that are you typically union jobs. But if you bust the unions, even better. Now even under a union, it would have been $40 an hour. Non-union will be $27 an hour. That's still better than $0 an hour.
Okay, a quick question. Like, do you acknowledge that when you implement the tariffs, is not the Chinese paying for it or the companies actually that is passed down to the taxpayers?
Of course, I already know that. But what I'm actually saying to you is,
implement tariffs against countries, we end up paying it.
The point is by making the Chinese manufactured good more expensive, it makes the domestic manufactured good more competitive to the end consumer. So what right now, right? So okay, let me explain it to you in another way. Consumers buy.
You explained that twice.
For a second. Okay, consumers buy.
I understand what you were saying, but I'm just saying tariffs are passed down to the business. It's passed down to the taxpayers.
Okay, but Jose, listen to me. This is what I do for a living. When you have tariffs, when a government puts tariffs on an imported product, they are artificially inflating the cost of that product to the consumer on purpose. So that way they can make the domestically produced good less expensive, which is going to drive business towards the domestic produced good. So here's what that means. If you make it more expensive to manufacture in China, you're going to force the companies to have to manufacture in the United States. So if you put a tariff on everything that's manufactured in China, but when it gets to the United States, you artificially inflate the price such that a Chinese manufactured good is more expensive than a domestic U.S. manufactured good, and thus the consumer will buy what is produced in-house.
Hey,
you understand?
Question. Let me just
hold on, Lou. I got because I want to close out. Lou, are you done, brother? You done?
Okay. So what I'm saying is, by Trump doing this type of trade policy, he's forcing businesses to manufacture in the United States. And Jose, who do you think gets those jobs?
Americans.
Americans, but which one? Which American?
But
I just want to ask Jose one question. Let me ask.
Can I say one last thing before I get off?
No, hold on. This one do. Jose, no, hold on. This one do. Jose, answer. Brandon, ask your question. Darius, make your statement, and then we'll close.
Yes, there is going to be a portion of Black America that's going to get those jobs, but that is not, to me, is not proportional to the amount of unemployed Black people that we have in America. So I get you're going to get more Black jobs created, generally speaking, if somebody's going to work in that sector. So I do agree with you in that regards. But what I'm saying, my whole point is, we just gotta like look at all the other policies and everything else. So my whole thing is, for me, I know I grew up on the East Coast, know Trump, know some of these things. I personally, based on their personal experience between him and Biden, because of their records and the things they've done, that before they even, in terms of Trump, before he came on the national scene and everything else, I will not vote for somebody who holds anti-Black views and policies. So I just can't get with that. So I get you have your reason for voting for them or supporting them. I'm just saying, for me personally, based on their records, I can't vote. Me personally, in good conscience, vote for either candidate. Okay, but so if you want to vote for them, that's on you. But I'm just saying, for me, that's why I can't vote for either one of them.
Okay, let me just ask you a question, because you said you got to look at the policies, then it became about the record. You two places at once. But let me ask you a quick question. Donald Trump, you got a business, I got a business. Lou has a business, Dinah's got a business. Donald Trump has already put on the table $500 billion for Black-owned businesses. This is a fact. It's called the Platinum Plan. Joe Biden has put, you guys all know, I think we agree, he's put nothing on the table for Black-owned businesses except for more taxes. Would you guys agree on that? Okay. So we're not going to vote for Trump, but we care about our business, right? But we're not going to vote for Biden either, and I see why, because we don't want to pay taxes, right? But if Biden gets elected, your taxes go up, meaning your business takes a hit and may or may not go out of business. If you vote for Trump, if you vote for Trump or don't vote for him, if you don't vote for Trump, you don't got access to the $500 billion he's promised for your businesses. Jose, how can you tell me you care about your business, but you refuse to make a decision that will directly impact your business in a positive way? Wait. Is that good business sense? That's the question.
Again, my reason for voting for them is not strictly about money and my business. I get what you're saying. Yes, it will be profitable and beneficial for me, for Trump in terms of the $500 billion, which, like I said, based on who controls the Senate and who's sitting in the White House right now, they could have actually, if you were serious about it, because again, they push a Supreme Court nominee through under 30 days without any Democratic vote on it. They could have done the same thing for that if they were serious about it. Because again, you have the pandemic.
No, you're trying to argue the middle.
I'm not arguing the middle. I'm just saying.
I got stuff to do. We're gonna do it.
Brandon. Okay, yeah, I'm about to say. Can I say?
No, we about to.
Yeah, I just want to say my quick points, and then I'm about to go.
You got 30 seconds. Go.
Oh yeah. So the very first thing, the last thing I would say is he brings up the First Step Act and all of these prisoners getting out, but then doesn't factor in the recidivism rate and the barriers that they're putting in to make it difficult for ex-prisoners to integrate. Secondly, Trump's trade war is just going to lead major companies to go to Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. So they're not coming back either way. And we've seen this with farmers. Thirdly, we've had a bunch of white voters, college educated, uncollege educated, that were part of his base that are fleeing him in droves. And we've seen that in the whitest states possible. So I don't understand why we would support somebody who the people who support him are running from him. And as well as the fact that you have in a situation with the Supreme Court, which I'm factoring in, we clearly see this. So this is a con game, and he gave the platinum plan 3 months before the election. So I don't see this serious. I will be voting for Biden because there are the climate, the environment that I'm considering. You may disagree. Good to have a discussion. I'm still going to be going up against Biden and fighting for Biden to do stuff that I would like. That's not going to stop. I'm still going to do my Africa plan. So thank you, Donis, and that's all I got to say. Peace, everybody.
No problem. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Let me read this. Jose wanted to trade.
It was a pleasure. Good conversation, man.
You guys can talk offline. I gotta go. All right, like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Search for Huru. Peace.